I hope so.
Yeah, we, a lot of time when we're working on trying to block that development. It's fine.
At least it's come to his items.
Jimmy that has a song. I'm trying. Yeah. That's a lot.
I didn't forget to them all done. Because I fall back in.
Thanks, Rick.
I, the two companies we like. This dude, like, what am I gonna?
Does that look better, Patty?
This guy.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
What would I do? He didn't win. Damn it.
So
How are you?
Thank you. It is. Okay, and then there is a second. Short one. I don't know if you switch over fast. You have a hard copy. That's awesome. Thanks, Don.
That's. Yeah, yeah.
Is Chris
All
waiting?
kind of got switched.
Chris, is Chris coming?
Yeah. Yeah. She.
Who's got the music?
That's
don't know.
Our elevator music.
But do we need whole music for open session?
No.
Yeah, we don't need this.
You keep this going.
You don't need that for open session?
Just a closed
Just
session.
close.
That's our closed session call, because we don't put out Zoom session.
Sorry, I thought
You
we
do Zoom? No, you do YouTube.
They come in
Yeah.
over.
Over Zoom.
Zoom,
Zoom.
but if I don't have a computer and I only have a phone.
Doors. There's a dial in, you can.
Here's
do
a
it.
dial in,
Yeah, you can
to
do
the,
it.
in a Zoom.
Oh, dial into
Into
Zoom.
Zoom,
link.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kind of like Helene does for our committee meetings.
Yep.
He doesn't. he'll be-
she doesn't attend mine. Sorry, Freddie,
There's Chris.
extra work for nothing. Okay. Call to order the Rainbow Municipal Water District Board of Directors meeting for April 25th, 2023. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Director Gasca,
Present.
Director Hamilton,
Present.
Director Mack.
Here.
Director Moss
Present.
and Director Towns.
Here.
Thank you.
Report on potential action items from closed session.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. The board met in closed session to discuss 4 items. First, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2. 2 items for that topic. Third, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1. TC Construction Inc. versus Rainbow Municipal Water District. And the 4th item, appointment of public employee, general manager pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. All 4 items were discussed, and there are 2 reportable items. First, the board directed staff to move forward with a settlement agreement regarding damages due to an alleged main break at 530 Stewart Canyon. And second, pleased to report that in the matter of TC Construction Inc. versus Rainbow Municipal Water District, the court has formally dismissed the appellant's appeal. As you may recall on that one, the Rainbow won at the trial court, then the TC Construction appealed, but they failed to file their opening brief within the deadline, so the matter has been dismissed. Very good. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you.
Additions and deletions and amendments to the agenda.
None from the staff at this point.
Any others? Instructions to allow the public comment on agenda items from those attending the meeting via teleconference or video conference.
If at any point anyone would like to ask a question or make a comment and have joined this meeting with their computer, they can click the raised hand button located at the bottom of the screen. We will be alerted that they would like to speak. When called upon, please unmute the microphone and ask the questions or make comments in no more than 3 minutes. Those who have joined by dialing a number on their telephone will need to press *6 to unmute themselves and then *9 to alert us that they would like to speak. A slight pause will also be offered at the conclusion of each agenda item discussion to allow public members an opportunity to make comments or ask questions. Do we have any oral or written communications from the public?
We did not receive any written comments.
Okay.
Is there anybody in the virtual waiting room? Ahmed or Freddie?
At that point,
I know one of you guys is out there.
We have a hand up from Kurt Hubble.
Oh, Kurt Hubble.
you're right.
Okay.
Kurt, we've been given a notice that you're available to answer any questions on item number 22, I believe it was. So we'll ping you when we get there.
Is that okay, Kurt?
That sounds good. Thank you.
Employee recognitions.
Yes, we have 2 today. First, Chris Hand, 15 years. I gotta think. Chris, one of the few people that has been the entire time in the same department, every time in the wastewater department. Been chugging away since 2008 or 2008. So,
Wow.
What's the craziest thing you've seen?
No.
Well, if y'all want to hear what really is, Chris, we gotta get it.
Congratulations.
Well, and the last couple of meetings has been pretty amazing. We've had a bunch of these. We have now our 12th person get all 5 coins.
Wow.
Wayne Nault, yeah, Wayne Nault has been recognized with has 9 total point awards and honorable mentions, and most of them have come in the teamwork category. He's been here since just before Chris, 2007. That department then was called Water Services back then. It's construction now. So Wayne's been kicking it every day for all that time. Congratulations. We might need to add a 6th point or something.
Coin or something, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Way to go, Wayne.
Well done. Thanks, guys.
Item number 16, is that right?
Yeah.
Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
I second.
Moved by Director Mack, seconded by Director Moss.
And that's to approve the minutes as written.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Board of Directors comments and reports, President's report. The only thing I have on my item right now, outside of, I think we had a wonderful avocado festival Sunday, is I've received a notice from VID. They are celebrating their 100th anniversary in August with an open house in September. They have asked us to consider a resolution, which I will put on the agenda for next item,
Sure.
next board meeting. San Diego County Water Authority.
Our next meeting is coming up this Thursday. The hot topic has always been the budget and the rates that are coming up. I remember I reported previously that they had come out actually with a press release saying it's going to be a 14% increase next year. I had hoped that was diversionary, that it would come down, but looking at what we're seeing, it doesn't look like they're going to stick at that number. This month, we're going to be asked to approve a list of rate mitigation strategies that the general manager will deploy including whether they should use reserves or whether they should, you know, forecast higher sales to reduce the percentage increase. So the water authority could say, hey, we're going to sell 440,000 acre feet. And then that means that this is only X dollar percent increase. So I don't know that's been done in the past and it hasn't worked out that well. That's why we're here today, because they aren't selling as much water. It's going to be kind of challenging. At the last meeting, well, we had not the last board meeting, we had two workshops. It was Tuesday and a Thursday, 2 or 3 hour workshops. I went down for one, but had doctor appointment, just watched via Zoom the second one. But in there, the water authority continues to, they continue to indicate that water sales are going to go up in the future. Over the next 5 years, they're going to increase by 50,000 acre feet. And when pressed on why, they can still to this day continue to point to population. So I produced a chart where I went and got San Diego County population data and went through the water authority's old financial reports to pull all their sales history the last 20 years. And those charts have totally different lines on them.
Just like.
One's going up, one's going down. And it's startling. We also pulled out the 2020, they hired a engineering and consulting firm to analyze the demand forecast in 2020. We're already way below their 2020 forecast. We're 3 years into it. It's way off because it rested heavily on population growth. They also predicted for Rainbow in that one. I think I reported at the time that between now and 2045, over a 25-year period, they predicted Rainbow would lose about 1,400 acre feet in agricultural sales. We lost 1,400 acre feet agricultural sales last year. So, you know, or Tracy did analysis, which I think the chart shows up in some of these presentations, that 10 years ago, we were selling 14,000 acre feet of ag water. And this last year, we sold a little over 7,000. One of the challenges the water authority has is they're fundamentally underrepresenting the magnitude of their problem. But the challenge is if you take the trend line, their demands go up and down, you know, wet year, dry year cycle, but the trend comes downward. Where it crosses if you take that trend line, where it crosses their take or pay number isn't somewhere in the future, as some would say from the city of San Diego, it's in 2025. And that's a point where things get really, really sticky to pay for water you don't get. So we're hoping to keep pounding them to stop saying, well, we made an agreement with Sandag in 1993 to use their population data to forecast our sales. It's like, well, you know what? I think you're going to have to get out of that agreement because this is bonkers. And we need to have a plan B. What happens if sales don't go up? Because we've been pressing, several of us on the board have been pressing. What is it? Just like Meg did here, and Tracy has produced these charts. So here's what it looks like if sales go to that level. That's not being presented to the board. So I don't think everybody understands the magnitude of it. One other quick note on the last meeting, and I can't remember if ours was after the last one. So I may have, yeah. So I already told you about what they did with the Valley Center UEMA emergency storage project connection. Like we have the ESP pump stations for Fallbrook and one for Rainbow. There's another one for Valley Center and UEMA that have been paid for since 1998. And they still hadn't gotten, and it finally got to the board to get that approved to construct, but several board members tried to block it, saying, oh, it's going to hurt our budget. And I had to very strongly tell them that's a slap in the face. The people up here have been paying for almost a quarter century for something they haven't gotten yet. And for you to say, oh, well, you know, thanks for your money, but we can't do it now, is crazy. So thankfully that was approved, and that's reflected in the water authority notes. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting April, May, and June meetings to get through the budget and the slog. The one big challenge I see in the budget is the water authority has included $1.5 million to study the regional conveyance system, the RCS, which was supposed to be pencils down. So I don't know why they need $1.5 million to do nothing. The other more troubling part of it is that over the last couple of years, they've been working on the San Vicente pump storage project to build a hydro generator that would take solar power in the day and pump it up to a higher lake and then create power during the peak periods. That got funded through some state money through a state bill, but they've included more money in this year's budget and several staff members for it. And I asked them, is this getting paid for from that state grant money? And they said no. So they're continuing to spend money on a hydroelectric project, which I believe that's not their role. Sure, we might need renewable energy sources for the power grid, but that's SDG&E and the power businesses' role to figure out, not us. And we shouldn't be taking ratepayer money on speculative hydroelectric investments, seeing that right now we're about to take a bath on the investment made on the Lake Hodges pump storage system. And it's just an agency who wants to be everything to everybody, and I don't think that should be their role. So that's my report.
Thank you. CSDA,
Nothing at this time.
But coming up next month,
Quarterly.
the 18th, the quarterly meeting, May 18th, I believe it is. Let me make sure I get the date right. I believe it's the 18th.
It's on the 18th the
Yeah.
last time.
May 18th. CSD quarterly dinner meeting. Butcher shop.
LAFCO.
Just that, just for everyone, the public knows the staff report on the detachment is supposed to be released later today. It'll be up for a 45-day public review period. We'll have to see what exactly it contains. And then the public notice for the hearing on June 5th has been published in the paper. So at this point, it's finally going to happen after 3 years and 2 months of waiting. It looks like we're finally going to get something in front of the commission. Exactly what is undetermined, but we'll have to see. So anyone in the public, and we'll be notifying our customers, everybody, that this report is now available for public review, and to get their comments into LAFCO. We'll also be holding a town hall meeting at Fallbrook on detachment for any interested customers who want to come hear the details. That'll be May 17th at Fallbrook's offices starting at 6 p.m.
Santa Maria Margarita Watershed Steering Committee. It was a typical, very short meeting. Met reported that the Diamond Valley Reservoir, which is at about 516,000, 516 acre feet? No, 1,000 acre feet. Sorry, didn't write the K. It's about 64% full. It's up about 22,000 acre feet. Skinner's at 39,000 acre feet. It's about 89% full, and they expect increases. At the time of the report, state water project allocation was at 75%. I think they announced 100% last weekend.
Yep.
So
100%.
in both cases, Met is reporting that they're taking state water project and water to fill up the reservoirs as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Diamond Valley should be full by the end of this
Mhm.
calendar year.
Yep.
I rode
And,
my bike around it on last Friday.
Oh, really?
Not all the way around, 10 miles.
Yeah,
It's a long
they're,
ride.
they're dumping.
Good thing I had
water
a
right
good thing for that electric motor, all right?
That's right. Hey, I ain't no dummy. No dummy.
The good news for our farmers on that is it means the TDSs will be lower than when we get Colorado River water, so it'll
Yep.
help the growers a little. There was no Quoruma report, and on the conjunctive use project, the only item that they had anybody to report on, because Fallbrook didn't attend, was the restoration of the dam or levee that had broken on Camp Pendleton, is still being repaired, and his cost is a lot more than what they originally anticipated.
Yeah, Fallbrook said they're gonna get 6,000 to 7,000 acre feet of
Yeah.
water out of that.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
their demands are only about 8,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen every year, but. it's
No,
gonna
but
be a
that's
massive
awesome.
amount, yeah. So they're gonna roll off the water authority one way or the other.
Yeah. And the next meeting will be in June. Aqua report.
That would be Mig. right? Or Nick?
Well, I can do, we're gonna have a conference next month. It's the
Monterey.
seventh in Monterey, 7th and 11th.
Yeah,
So
that's what's coming up.
I don't know that Mig would have much to add to that, other than you're going to have some comments on Aqua's positions on some number legislative pieces. Any director's comment? Oh, excuse me, meetings, workshops, committees, seminars, reports, AB 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, I did the Delta Water Tour. And they're dumping 25,000 acre feet a minute over the spillways at the Oroville Dam because they have nowhere to put it. So
They gotta
they,
make room for all that melt that's coming.
yep, you got it. It was really, really interesting. The head scientist conservationist spent the day with us on the Delta tour. And I thought it was quite interesting. He kept talking about the Delta smelt and the salmon and how we got to restore this because of them. And then at the very end of the meeting, he shows this whole slide presentation that shows if we don't restore the Delta back to its original semi-marshlands, it's going to pollute all the fresh water. And I go, why aren't you talking about that? What you're telling me is what I hear is all that salt water is going to come in and ruin the fresh water, and we're not going to have any water throughout the state from the Delta. Oh, I didn't think about it.
Well, that's how they want
He's
to-
more concerned about fish than he is people.
It blew me away. I didn't comprehend.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was an excellent weekend and time well spent. So thank you very much.
You should have had our Delta specialist. And any other director's comments? Legal.
I did a written report and update on the 4 new water rights bills that is considering and the certificate to change California's water rights priority system.
Oh, God.
Excuse me, mic's not on.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry.
Yeah, it is threatened to significantly expand the state water board's jurisdiction over water rights and to expand the state water board's enforcement powers over certain water rights, even those that have been historically exempt from the state board's jurisdiction, such as pre-1914 rights, riparian rights, and overlying rights. The bills will allow the state board to curtail these rights when it views a curtailment as necessary to protect an environmental purpose, the public trust doctrine, some sort of, endangered species or fish and game code protection, water quality objectives, or to prevent waste. And they also provide for a number of penalties for, if the curtailment orders are violated. And in some cases, under a couple of the bills, the board will be able to issue these curtailments even without a hearing. If the board enters a finding that the curtailment is urgent or the time it will take to hold a public hearing is impractical, they could go ahead with the curtailment. So, as President Hamilton mentioned earlier, Aqua has serious concerns with these bills, and their state legislative committee held a meeting to review the bills and voted to oppose all of them, and is urging water agencies to join the opposition. Aqua's statement was that these bills threaten to, quote, undermine the basic foundation of water management and water delivery in California by proposing to authorize the state board to effectively take water rights with little to no due process, end of quote. So,
Oh, my God.
it's very concerning.
Yeah, the way they've got this set up without the appropriate due process is concerning, but the Wild Wild West water system, Manifest Destiny era water rights system we run here that goes back to the gold rush days isn't working all that
No,
well.
they
They don't
don't
even know how much water anybody's taken. There's not a lot of requirement to measure, people are still measuring in miners inches and stuff like that.
Miners and shit.
Yeah. And so there's nobody who knows exactly. One thing we do know is that people are extracting there's more water rights that people claim than water that exists. I'm not in a year like this year, but in an average
Yeah.
year. And so there's, whether the state board's the right people to regulate it or what, I don't know. But at some point, the status quo is going to have to give. So we'll have to see what they can.
So are they
Lot-
doing a blade basically with the first in time, first in right, west of the Rockies? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it's interesting. One of the bill's author stated they, proposed the bill in response to this action that took place on the Shasta River
Mhm.
a little while back. I guess a group of farmers got together and the board issued curtailment orders, but they basically say,
Yeah, they
have-
set up yours and went ahead and did it.
did it anyway, right? So they're saying, oh, the state board doesn't have time to, respond in real time, and the penalties were not enough to deter these acts in violation of the curtailments. But yeah, it's really interesting because, like our
So they're
state
going to
water
do away
code
with
wasn't
all of the benchmarks that we've used in the past.
right.
Yeah.
1930, 1940,
Potentially.
so on and so forth.
Potentially, yeah.
That's what's so.
But it's
concerning.
case by case. It's probably not gonna say all 19, but if you want to use the first in time, first in right argument, then the folks over here at Pala and
Mhm.
Rincon want to have a conversation. Because the tribal interest would say, well, I think we were here first.
Well,
You
no,
guys came here and took.
We
over
were
this
definitely
water.
here before you.
Yeah, that's for sure, that's right.
not
So-
necessarily. They could have been moved onto the reservation.
Well,
So,
okay,
but you know what I'm
at
saying.
gunpoint, yeah, that's true. That's a possibility. But still, there's the way it was divvied up back then in a manifest destiny or a sense is, there's enough water. Everybody just put your note in a coffee can and claim it. It's yours forever. That works when there's a couple thousand people roaming around in buckskins, and coonskin caps, hunting for gold. But when you get out here in the 21st century with the mechanized agriculture and some of these things, it gets pretty dicey pretty quick. So this probably isn't the solution, but something's going to have to happen.
Yeah, you would
and
think
your question
logic
is,
would.
Wait, excuse me, what?
I was gonna say, yeah, in response to your question too, because 1914, was a huge year
Right.
for water when the State Water Board was created. And so historically the water rights before then, you see the old pictures, people like, December 31st, 1913, they're like posting, diverting, here, and if you got your notice posted before then, you had this vested water right and
Right,
it's a property right. And
right. I understand.
just like, they're taking property for food or something you get compensated for. But it's been interesting. You look at the case law over the past couple of decades, and the state board has been trying to chip away little bit by little bit.
What
using
about
the
patent rights?
public trust
Patent
doctrine?
rights was included.
Yeah, patent right is included as well. Yeah, for to the extent they relate to water in
Right.
these bills. So it's very they've been chipping away, but this is, I think, the boldest I've
This
ever
is
seen them
monumental.
to just straight out say,
You don't have
have
any rights.
authority
Doesn't
over-
matter what
Mhm.
they or what you have recorded.
Well, the
That's
public trust
essentially it,
doctrine
right?
exists in this California Constitution as well, and that I guess come down to define what beneficial use is, and that the environment has a right to water as well, and so that's in the Constitution.
Yeah, no.
And so a lot of the things that were done in the pre-1914 era, in any sense, if you were to try to do those today, it'd be like, no, you can't do that. And so we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
My-
The big battle that sits between the water code, which has all of these exemptions, like you're saying, the California Constitution, because the California Constitution defines water rights, big word, usufructuary, which says, yes, they're property rights, but they're rights that are held in trust for the benefit of the state.
Exactly.
And anything that's unreasonable, can be, basically regulated by the state in this manner. So that's where they're holding their hat on.
Where there's
on that.
it's gonna
So-
end in court.
Yeah, no. I get it because I've also searched patent and mining rights and that's a whole nother ball of wax,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're very, very different. But those were actually more easily translated in the word.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. These bills will get amended after all of the opposition they see from Aqua. I know the California Water Association, which is the regulated utility, probably the privately owned utilities. And ASME, we represent that association too. And they're actually, I get a free trip to Napa. They want me to come to Napa next month to they have a group that meets with all of the presidents of the investor-owned utilities across the state, and they are furious.
Yeah. I was going to say, you can expect a legal challenge on any of these,
Exactly.
regardless of what the final word
Well,
is.
from our standpoint, though, some modification of the water rights laws might be helpful
Yeah.
because like there are pre-1914 appropriative rights here that we
Correct.
would like to get converted and for beneficial use other than what their exact original designation. And so the system right now blocks us from accessing
I understand.
small amounts of water here. And so I guess we have to look at it, the big picture and also just the rainbow picture. Having somebody who could logically look at a particular set of rights and say, yeah, that looks like we could do something better if it was changed to something like this and have some sort of regulatory authority that could make those determinations. might not be the worst thing. Now, whether that's a state board or not is.
No,
is good.
yeah, I
But
understand that
it's,
because I used to have to search water rights,
Right.
so.
I don't know how they're going to fund this because I mean, people who have pending applications between the state board, they're so backlogged
Oh,
with
yeah.
applications that have been pending for years. So how are they gonna, deal with what's already on their plate and all of this new stuff too? I don't know how they.
They'll probably just deny
Mm.
flat out. I mean, that's what.
Make
I'm
them
seeing.
refile so that they have another extension of 10 or 15 years to process the application.
Right, and then they won't think the application's complete, right?
Oh, geez, get me started.
Love to be on.
It would be nice if we knew what we were allocating. Why not first mandate
Measurement.
measurement? And then at least you have some idea where you're at rather than just saying, let's throw this up against the wall and
That's,
see what
that's a
happens.
tricky thing though, because I used in the 20 years ago, and I was running the water system in the central basin, the city of Vernon, and the water master, that's an adjudicated basin. And they'd come out to certify our meters on our wells. And I talked to the guy, he'd come out every year and I said, so how's this go at some other places? He says some places he can't get access to them. They won't let him in,
Mhm.
or they come there and every year their meter's broken, because people don't want to report. And so what
But
they
come
do
there and the guy's
is
got
he would go
shotgun.
and get their utility bills from
It's
Edison,
their own risk.
and they can calculate how much water you pump just on your power bill
Your
for that
bill.
at a well site.
Hmm.
There's a certain amount of power
yeah.
it takes to move water up that
Oh,
well
yeah.
and out. And he said, no, I backtrack it through the Power system and get them that way. And I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
that's in central Los Angeles, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
you get up in Tulare County, you get out to
Out in
Kern
the
County
boonies
and
and
something
some
like that. You're trying to get to every well, and some guy with the salt gun. waiting for it.
Central Valley,
Anyway,
that was the thing that amazed me about the Bay Delta is there's no metering of any of the water coming out of the levees into the farmlands there. They
That's
just
correct. Yeah.
pump whatever they want.
it's crazy.
Free water.
So it's wild, wild west out here. At some point, we got to have some.
Well, it's going to be kind of interesting because a lot of the dairies moved out, most of the dairies moved out of California, and I'm a dairy family. And so all of them, I would search the water rights. And if they were decent, then they'd convert to almond groves. If they weren't, they just sold it and got rid of it, and gone.
Crazy.
Interesting.
So
As usual, always an interesting report.
thank you. I'm sorry to carry it on. So
Oh, no, that's very interesting. Thank you.
Committee reports, budget and finance and engineering. Flint, I'll let you take them both head on head.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll do them in chronological order this time. The Engineering and Operations Committee met on April 5th, and there were no items to consider for which the committee was being asked to make a recommendation to your meeting today. But there were two very interesting updates that we had on projects that we had not heard about for quite a while. One of them is the San Luis Rey groundwater study update. And I think the key takeaway from that is that the consultant has been making good progress. We are expecting, I believe, in early May, a deliverable. I think it's analysis of the options, resulting in an indication as to is there a feasible project, and if so, generally where would it be located? And so we are looking forward. We may be able to take a look at that at our meeting in May, but our meeting is always in early May, so we may not. The report may not arrive in time for that, so we'll see it at the next meeting. The second item, second project that we looked at is the headquarters development. And we received an update on that. And from Tom, we heard that the fire department has decided that they are not going to be able to participate in the joint use facility with the police and the fire and us. And after some discussion, I think the consensus is that we need to look careful. We need to get aggressive about going it alone. And that involves a search for an alternative piece of property that we could use. And it also means that we need to get started on getting the land for this facility, the housing program, to get that land entitled. And so Tom indicated, I believe, that we're going to be looking at putting some money in the budget upcoming to do that, to get started with that work, which will entail and will require the retention of a consultant. And in conferring during that meeting with Chad and Tom and Amanda, I think the staff is going to go ahead and start to work on putting together what an RFP would look like, so that when we get the injection of funds from you at the beginning of the fiscal year, we'll be ready to start a consultant selection process and move forward with that, because at this point, getting the land entitled is the key element. And I think that there's good news and bad news. The fact the joint use operation fell apart is potentially bad news, because we had waited quite a while to make that happen. The good news
Is
that
the
there
dual
appears
use
to
out
be-
as well? The sheriff's department
me?
interested in,
The sheriff's
really.
department's put that whole land on ice. They're saying 5 to 7 years before they get going on it. And the North County Fire went to their board and said, we're not waiting around and talking to Chief McReynolds.
yeah,
And
well, 5 to
it's
7
just the-
years is.
and
too
it's the
long.
county, and who knows what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And so you can wait around and hope, but you just be waiting on the county at that point, and it's not the best plan. Challenges then to get the entitlement here is to figure out what it's gonna cost for us to go through all the different processes, lay all that out, and that's what Chad and Amanda will be working on over the next month or two, so we can be ready as the money becomes available to take this on this adventure.
I think the other piece is good news, bad news again, is I think the good news is that we all know that the developments for residential housing are not booming right now. So while we are in a slump, that is a really good time for us to take advantage of getting our entitlements and getting a bunch of our back office work done, shall we say, so that when the market conditions improve, we don't have to reload. We're ready to go was the idea. So that's where we are on that.
Okay,
On the Budget and Finance Committee, we met on April the 11th. The main topic of conversation, of course, was the water and wastewater financial plans and cost of service. And you've got an item coming up on that together, but we received a pretty thorough briefing from Tracy and the consultant. And so we got a pretty good idea of what the program is going to look like and what's going to be presented. And then we also, item 20 on your calendar, the 24-month payment plan for one of our ratepayers. The staff presented and the committee voted to recommend that you move forward with that payment plan as recommended by the staff. So happy to answer any questions. Okay.
no question. Communication and customer service, Carlene's going to give the report. Thank you.
The Communications and Customer Service Committee met on April 6th. Tom gave an update on the water supply situation, exiting the worst drought in 1,200 years, and mentioned that the state water project deliveries will be at 75%. He also gave an update on the water authority's projected rate increases. We talked about the district becoming a field trip destination for the local high school. So this Thursday, April 27th at Bonsall High School, one of their STEM classes will be coming. Right now we have 25 students confirmed to do a little field trip here to the district, learn about STEM careers in the water industry. We have several departments who will be, presenting for them. And then we're also doing that in conjunction with a Take Your Kids to Work Day for staff kids in the afternoon on the same day, because it happens to fall on National Take Your Kids to Work Day.
That tour's in the morning. The STEM tour is in the morning.
So the high school field trip is from 9 to 11:30, and then the staff Take Your Kids to Work Day is from noon to about 3 o'clock or 2:30. The committee also talked about newsletter communication content planning. So we talked about articles for the upcoming newsletters. We added a promotional asking for volunteers to join our 3 ratepayer volunteer committees. I don't know whether we've gotten any replies to that, but we certainly are seeking volunteers. And we also talked about preparation for the Avocado Festival, which was this past weekend. We did have close to 1,500 visitors to our booth. And we promoted a survey. The committee reviewed questions for a customer service feedback survey that we had set up on an iPad in the booth, and we'll be able to continue to collect responses through a QR code in our newsletter and put it on our website so we can continuously collect that feedback from customers.
Yeah, I can interject with regard to the Avocado Festival, work in the booth. I'd say one of the tremendous improvements was having it be two booths that flowed through, because the ventilation for the booth was fantastic.
Get pretty hot in there.
Yeah.
And we've already reserved the double for next year as
Yeah,
well.
That's great. I had some comments that I gave to Carlene about things that needed to be done to improve things. I think the ball got dropped a little bit in transition when it left Cynthia's hands and fell in your lap, and and so that's just what happens.
All the swag got handed out except for some of the water conservation stuff. People.
Yeah, we had one vehicle worth of completely full of promotional items, and we ran out by like 1:15 in the afternoon. So next year we need 2 full vehicles.
Yeah.
For the amount of traffic that we're
The suggestion I would have in spin the wheel is put more opportunities to win your lowest cost item.
and the smallest, the physically smallest items as well. So yes, we have those notes, and we did take notes all day on our observations on what we can do differently next year.
Overall, it was one of the best I've seen that we've done.
I fielded a number of conversations, if you will, with people that wanted to know what was going on with detachment. A lot of them, when I explained to them when the LAFCO meeting was, were pretty disgusted that it's in the morning when it's most difficult for people that work to be able to get there
on a Monday.
But I promised them that in the literature, if they attended the May meeting, would be the links to be able to zoom in and to record any comments you wanted. And if they can't make it, I encourage them to do that.
At least right.
Yeah. Almost all of them asked what were going to be the consequences if we didn't leave. And I told them that, hey, we've been getting hit 8% a year for the past years. This year it's going to be 14, and that's going to be to the foreseeable future. And, that's just from the County Water Authority. And then all our priority pipes, and I explained to them some of the unfortunate events that have occurred where it's cost us over $100,000 because a pipe blew. Okay. And I told them we have the list prioritized. And if we don't leave and we can't get access to those funds, the rates are going to go up on our side in order to try and cover the costs of replacing those priority pipelines that are costing us so much. So,
reality check.
Yeah.
The math is good.
I think those were the highlights from the committee.
Thank you, Carlene.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And good job on the Avocado Festival. Thanks for taking the ball and running with it. Board action items. Consider setting the date and time for a public hearing to consider adopting increases in rates for Rainbow Municipal Water District water and waste fees effective July 1st, 2023.
That's my item. Freddie's going to pull up the presentation for me. Just one second. So we're going to be going through the proposed adjustments for the water and wastewater rates, looking at our different options. We have a lot of information to go through, so I'm going to go through it slowly, and we can go back if we need to. Okay, so today what we want to do is look at our different options and determine which option we want to choose for our Proposition 218 notice that'll need to go out by May 11th. And then we'll also be opening the rate hearing for the hearing date of June 27th. So the district hired an independent third party, IB Consulting, to conduct a rate study for Rainbow. And the reasons this was needed is the resurgence of inflation and the supply chain supply chain challenges that have impacted our capital projects. We have our necessary investments in our aging infrastructure, and we've seen a lot of operational and energy cost escalations from this inflation. You'll remember we went to the board a couple years ago for a 5-year rate increase. We had to redo that rate study because the significant changes with the costs and the inflation. So that some of these key assumptions you have seen, but we're going to go through them. We're assuming 12,700 acre feet in sales, 0 account growth, and developer fees of 0. So we're being very conservative with this rate study. We're basically planning for worst case scenario. So the rate increases, the revenue requirement increases that we're proposing are based on not receiving any developer funds.
So a key assumption that I would see, and I remember I brought it up before, is inflation rate. And is that buried in your model?
Yeah, we'll come to some of those in this next slide.
Okay.
So we're escalating salaries at 6% and benefits at 3%. Capital construction at 7.2% for the first 2 years. And then we're just using the ENR construction cost index for the 3 years after that. Then our general costs were escalating at 7.71%. In past years' rate studies, we haven't used this high of increases in the first 2 years. So we're really trying to do a better job with benchmarking that. Also, we went numerous years without a rate increase through the initial detachment period and COVID. So we have been doing some catch up on that. Energy, we're increasing at 5% above what our rate was for the last fiscal year. So that's our starting point, increasing 5% from there. And then we're also passing through the rate of the water authority increases in January, which we usually do. We always do. And we're also going to propose that we pass through the wastewater treatment costs that are paid to Oceanside. Okay, so it's important to remember that we reevaluate rates every year with the budget cycle. So even if we choose a rate for the next 5 years, we're going to look at it next year at this time. We're going to look at if any developer fees came in, if there were any significant changes in our costs, and we're going to look at if we can do lower if any developer fees come in. So that's just the max rate that we'll be proposing to put out with the notice this year. But what that allows us to do is to not have to do a whole new cost of service every year and have to do the whole Prop 218 rate notice to every property in the district. Okay, so we're going to start with wastewater. This is our current wastewater financial position based on the current rates. So you can see that all our reserves will go into a deficit after this year if rates aren't increased for wastewater. We have not increased wastewater since 2018. The reason for that is we were holding on quite a bit of reserves for wastewater, working up to the LS1 project. And then once we got going on that, we started spending our reserves. So this is our wastewater capital planned projects. You can see we have our adopted budget for fiscal year 23, which is this year, and then our forecasted spend, and then our years 1 through 5 that we have planned. So Lift Station 1 has extended into fiscal year 24 with an additional budget request of $2.5 million. And we've forecasted spending in the current year that is going to be reduced by $2.5 million, which will be allocated to next fiscal year. So that's a net budget increase of $2.5 million for Lift Station 1. This is our wastewater funds projection. So let me just explain this. The top section is our capital forecast for the 5 years. So we start with our approved budget. We had an opening balance of about $634,000. And then we had those fees come in from Citro for $8 million at the beginning of the year. And then we had projected to spend $10.9 million, which would have left us a deficit of $2.2 million. Instead, we've moved out some of those expenses because the project's been pushed out. So we're forecasting to end the year at about $262,000. So then that carries up into that year 1. We start the year with that. We'll be getting another $2.5 million from Citro next year. That's not going to come until April of 2024. So we're proposing some debt financing of $5 million to replenish reserves and just make sure that we have a cushion until we receive that money and the rate increases catch up. You can see with if you go down in that year one column, we have 5 million in spending for the capital plan, which is basically just lift station 1 that year, which would leave us with an ending balance of 2.7 million. And then if you follow that the rest of the way down, you can see all in what we have in wastewater. We have a little bit in operating. So we'll be building that budget or that reserve up over 5 years. But if we don't receive any developer fees, then we're going to have additional debt financing proposed in year 3 for around 9.5 million. Okay, so what does that look like? We're proposing a 35% increase in this first year. Again, we haven't raised these in 5 years, and then 13% each year after that. So what I'm showing here is 2 different plans, a deferred CIP plan or one where we do that financing that I showed in the last forecast in that last slide. So what that would do is it'd bring our existing rate of $55.07 up to $66.57 in the first year. And then you can see those rate increases throughout the next 5 years. Now, I know that looks like a significant jump in that year, fiscal year 28 to $108, but I want to show you where we stand with the neighboring districts. So we're the purple line on the far left right now. We're $55.07. The proposal we have for this next year is the $66.57, the striped line. You can see Fallbrook, Alevenheim, and Oceanside are already significantly higher than us right now. So that's closer to where we're going in year 4 and 5. So compared to our neighbors, we're pretty in line there. I'm going to pivot to water now.
Wait, you go back, please.
Sure.
What's the Rainbow Prior study? 7358.
5 years ago, we came to the board with a rate increase. I think it was right before I came on. We proposed that we do a 5-year rate increase. Only the first year of that was approved.
Mm-hmm.
If we'd have done the 5 years, that's where we'd be at right now.
Essentially, the rate, this initial rate increase, we would still be below where we would have been, but we just can't wait any longer.
Got it.
Pretty close though.
Thank you.
Okay. Now for water, this is our current cash flow for water where we're at without changing the rates. We have positive net cash flow through fiscal year 25. This is where we're spending with water right now. I think this is important for people to see. It's our water purchases are 46% of our total budget. Capital projects are 18% and salaries and benefits are 13%. That's just a breakdown of where we spend. This is our current reserve balances projected based on our current rates. So what you can see is that the current rates do not provide enough funding for our capital projects. So these are our goals. This is showing our minimum and ideal target levels for reserve balances. So currently in our administrative policy, we require 60 days of O&M, not including purchased water. That's too low. We really should keep 90 days of O&M, including purchased water. That's basically industry standard, and that's our ideal target that we use for this rate plan. We also want to have at least 2 years of the 5-year average CIP, because if we get too low and have some sort of catastrophic emergency, coupled with inflation, coupled with a change in a budget on a major project, then we end up in an uncomfortable position. We want to get our rate stabilization fund back up to 10% of our rate revenues. And we want to make sure that we keep our liability self-insurance fund funded. So that comes to about a $30 to $35 million target, depending on what the CIP plan is. Okay, so our proposed financial plan, this is what it looks like. I looked at a lot of different scenarios that I'm going to be showing you. All the scenarios get us to this same general level by fiscal year 28, assuming all our assumptions are spot on. It'll get us a net positive cash flow each year and sufficiently fund the capital reserves and rebuild the reserves. Okay, I know this is really hard to see, but we like to put all our capital plan up there. I can give you guys an email of this presentation. But basically what you're looking at here is our wholesale water efficiency and our water capital plan. We have our adjusted budget, our forecasted spend, and our year 1 through 5 plan. So the thing that's changed on this a couple of things have changed from last year's budget, but one thing I'll call out is that the Rice Canyon transmission line, we've extended that into fiscal year 24 with an additional $1.5 million budget. We've scaled back a lot of our other projects for water because we need to build up the reserves. We need to just take a little pause and get those built up. This is what that looks like with our capital, our fund projected balance. This is for water and wholesale water efficiency. So this includes that 9 million that we have in there from the financing. So that adjusted budget and the forecast column that starts out with 13 million, that includes the 9 million that we financed. We've got some new water sources funding coming in because we pull that in for that project for the groundwater study. And then I'm only putting in here capacity fees that we've actually received. We're not banking on any developer fees because we don't know if they're going to happen. So this is, if they do happen, we won't have to do as high a rate increases, but we're basically looking at worst case scenario here.
And the same thing with potential grants. They're not.
Yeah, we don't include any of the grants. This is just.
And maybe Kurt Hubble, who's listening, can tell us about how that's going to work and what the timeline is for his project.
Yeah. Now, this is presented a little bit differently than how I have it in the budget because I want to make sure that I'm mirroring what we're putting in the rate study because we really make sure that those reconcile with each other. That way it's easier to make sure that they're both validated. So our forecast, we're spending a little bit less than we'd planned this year. Some things are being pushed out. So our forecast is to end the capital balance at about 5 million. So then that'll go up into the start for year one. We have our budgeted transfer from operating of about 1.2 million. Tentatively, we'll pull in another 600,000 if we from our fund for new water sources, if we continue the groundwater study. And then we would have 6.9 million available funding for the capital projects. We have 9 million scheduled to on our 5-year plan, would leave a deficit of 2.2. This is where I'm saying we need to build up that capital fund. Our reserve funds. But if you do go down, you'll see that we're just really just holding it in the operating reserve balance. That 2.2, if you go down to the all water balances column in year one, plus the 7.3 that we'll have in operating, leaves us with 5 million as an ending balance, all in for water for that year. So whether we hold it up in capital or down in operating, it all gets spent out of the same pot. But you can see us building up over the 5 years up to the 32 million, which is our goal.
I think one of the key takeaways, as I think you mentioned earlier, is the capital. Right. I mean, if we just wanted to make our nut to cover us here, rates wouldn't have to go up, but we have to deal with the pipe. This is the problem we've been talking about since we had before. And one of our challenges now is that our CIP team is actually getting stuff done, which is a refreshing change from, 5-10 years ago, years past, where there wasn't a whole lot getting built. But, now it's not an academic exercise where we need money. It's about finding it. Now we do have, matter of fact, I'm going to be taking one of Daryl Isa's staff members out for a little tour on Friday and going to lunch. And we are in one of the bills on the wastewater side that's in one of the current bill that will earmarked in there, but it still hasn't all gotten through yet. So it's Congress.
Yeah.
But all that applies. So there may be things coming up. What Tracy is presenting, so everybody make sure you're really clear. This is worst case. Kurt Hubble's going to talk about his development that's coming up. None of that's taken in. That might start this summer, like they told us it would the summer before, or the summer before that, or the summer before that. And then several $1 million will come in on water and cap fees, and then future rate increases go down. But we've got to take.
Or we don't have to get a loan.
Right. Or whatever, whatever the situation is. But we just want to make sure that everybody knows if you send us forward on this path, those are the maximum amounts to hit these targets, assuming all the forecasts, inflation doesn't rear back up and things like that. So we're trying to be as conservative as possible here. It looks terrible, and it is terrible, but that's kind of where we face ourselves.
Well, I'd like to attend that. I mean, because I did go through the process with Jerry Lewis and his staff when we were in Running Springs. So I don't know if my calendar will work, but
All right.
if you let me know, just let me check.
Yeah, I think he's coming here at 10 o'clock on Friday, and then we're going to get on the car and I'm going to do go to Rainbow Oaks.
So the last
He only
thing,
gets the 2-hour tour. Though.
Yeah.
the final thing on this slide is in the bottom right, you can see that we start refunding our rate stabilization in year 3 of this plan, which will be nice. Okay.
Yep.
this is a breakdown of the last 10 years of our sales by customer class. You notice in blue, that's residential. It stayed pretty flat in spite of the growth we've had, and we've had some significant growth. The green is agriculture. It's gone in 10 years from 14,000 acre feet to just over 7,000. It's cut in half. So well, I brought this to the board last month. You asked, let's look at some options. If ag went away, we need to know what that looks like too. So I've included a couple of scenarios just to look at those.
Yeah, that's good.
Commercial's been pretty flat.
Yeah.
This was interesting to look at over just 10 years. And then here's our purchases over 23 years. It's a little easier to pull purchases. When you do sales by customer class, it gets a little muddy in the prior software. So this is really easy to pull. How much did we purchase? And you can see that ski slope going down. It's pretty steep.
Yeah, we were 22,000 acre feet when I came aboard.
Look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So with our water rate design, a significant portion of the district's costs are fixed. And we can move more of our rates over to the fixed side. It is difficult to recover all the fixed costs on a fixed charge, but our study, we can kind of recalibrate how we look at that. So the different options are going to show you how we can set that up. But the more we delay increasing the fixed cost recovery portion, the sooner it'll happen naturally, because it'll tend to push the ag out of business with the raising costs.
Can you go back the
Yes,
previous chart to the one that one and then the one before it?
that one.
Okay, so Carlene, these are the type of graphics that if we have in the booth, it makes it simple for the people in there. When people say, well, why is cost going up? You can point to it and say, this is what's happening to us. Okay.
Okay.
So keep that in mind for next year. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to look at 5 different scenarios. Each one has a different fixed revenue recovery percent. We're currently at about the scenario 3. The rate study is recommending 8% increases across the 5 years, but the board had given me feedback to also show what a 9% would look like. We're projecting about 12,700 acre feet in sales on those 3 scenarios. And then scenario 4 and 5 are just what would happen if the acre feet sales was the driver? Where would that put the fixed cost recovery and the revenue requirement increase? And you can see that put at 8,000 acre feet, that put the increase at 12% per year. If we were to lose ag altogether, closer to 5,000 acre feet, it would push that fixed recovery to 42.5%, and the increase would be 16%. That's not a rate increase, that's the revenue recovery increase. So we'll see the impact of that in some of these next slides.
I think that's important. And I know that especially,
Dramatic.
well, especially we have a lot of new customers in the smaller residential that say, hey, we must be subsidizing ag. But at the ag is really the backbone of our revenue. And that if that goes away, costs get spread across many, many fewer acre feet, and it goes up for everybody.
And we'll see a little bit of that. I'm going to, I have a slide for each of these 5 scenarios. So scenario 1 is with a fixed cost recovery a little bit higher, which you guys said you wanted to look at, and the revenue requirement increases a little bit higher. Looking at that top one, it's a little bit cut off, but the top one is single family residential and the bottom one is agriculture. So the way to read that is that 16.5% on single family. So 16.5% of the single family customers would have a 5 to 10% rate increase. This is an annual impact.
Increase?
That would equate for the average user, that'd be about $20 a month.
That's a bill increase.
That's a bill increase. This is the actual rate impacts of the bill increase. So
$10.
what's that?
What happened to $10 a month? As
Um,
far as an increase?
well-
Why is it 20?
We didn't look at a $10 a month increase because that wouldn't cover our
I
costs.
thought it was $55 going to 60.
Oh, that's the
What?
wastewater. This is water.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
The 55 number right now is the wastewater. So if you're this is the water
Yeah.
side. They're separate because only about a third of our customers are on wastewater.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You are.
So this scenario would have a more stable revenue recovery. It'd be less impactful on agriculture, and it delays the risk of scenario 4 and 5, which we'll look at in a minute. The disadvantages is it's more impactful on residential than any of the other 4 scenarios. Okay.
But I think that what you said there is important, is that it delays those other scenarios, which have a much worse effect in the future. If the
Yes.
previous slide you showed,
So it
if
has
we
a
lose
sh-
ag, the bottom falls out of the revenue stream.
right.
And then everybody else, it goes up not, 5 or 10%, it goes up 15, 20% a year.
Yeah, it's more impactful on residential in the short term,
Right.
but in the long term, it would be better for the
Well,
residential.
the biggest problem that we face is most of the people that come here live in a tract like Horse Creek, and they don't understand what it costs to get the water to them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, numerically, I think still the majority of our residents don't live in Horse Creek, but the new.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
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 And so it's always the high density people, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it's the high density areas where the people don't understand that you've got to pay to get it there,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pipelines.
And you live in what we would consider a high density area.
I do now, but I
Yeah.
didn't before.
Yeah.
I lived.
It is
on-
one of the challenges for an agency like ours that straddles both worlds of that. And they're seeing it up in Valley Centers, a lot of new development going up in there. They have it there. So the small lot, big user, small user, I really wish the Prop 226 and 218 gave us more flexibility so that we could restructure rates to work for both, but there's no
can't
way
do
that
it.
our legal counsel has indicated we would be safe from another lawsuit
Yeah.
had we attempted to do so. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
kind of where we're at.
going to jump in because this came up, just to mention that when Carlene and I talked, some of the questions that came to us to me specifically was the cost for wastewater. Why am I paying what I'm paying? And having a graphic that shows, here's the outfall line that runs through our district. And then to have everybody that's on it highlighted and showing the big stretches, the miles, in fact, have it graphically displayed, the miles of outfall line that has nobody attached to it.
Right.
And they're the people that are paying for that.
Yeah, tell them, where the drive-in used to be in Oceanside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's past that. So you're-
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think those are the kind of graphics that we need to start getting into that booth to help
Yeah.
people that are there talking to our customers.
And just out to
So
our
they can
customers.
understand graphically, because a lot of people don't understand it when you
Right.
talk.
They don't even really know. They know they're in Rainbow, but they don't know what Rainbow covers.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it might be wise to include something, a little tidbit every time we send out a newsletter. Some kind of graphic that is, nobody has to read, because God help us, people don't want to read anymore.
Well, maybe even in our Prop 218 notice.
Yeah.
So we've got a
Yeah.
consultant that's helping us with writing that this time. So that might be nice to put in. So this was scenario 1. It was the 42.2% fixed cost recovery and 9% revenue adjustments over the 5 years. The difference with this next one is it's a little bit less fixed cost recovery at 39.9% and 8% revenue increases over the 5 years. So you can see the difference here. We've got 42% of our single family customers having a 5 to 10% increase in their annual bill. 51% of them having a 10 to 15%. So this is a little bit also more stable revenue recovery than what we have now. It's less impactful on agriculture. It still delays the scenario 4 and 5. And it's a disadvantages. It's still a little bit more impactful on residential. You can see down there in ag, we've got about 40% of our ag customers with a 5 to 10% rate increase. So then the third one, this one is a little bit lower fixed cost recovery. It's basically equal to what we have now, and 8% revenue adjustments over the 5 years. This one's a little bit less stable revenue recovery than 1 and 2. It's less impactful on residential and a bit more impactful on agriculture, but it also speeds up us getting to scenario 4 and 5, which we're going to look at next. And they're not pretty. So if sales for ag were to decrease by another 50%, like we saw over the last 10 years, we'd have about 8,000 acre feet in total sales. This would push that fixed cost recovery to about 42% and require 12% revenue adjustments over the 5 years. You can see what this does to single family if that ag goes away. it's 55% of our customers would be between 15 and 20% annual impact. And then not as much of an impact on ag because a lot of ag would be gone in this situation.
You were
Yeah,
saying almost
we-
80% of your customer base is
Yes.
between 10 and 20.
So-
And-
So this is where we could end up in 10 years if we continue on the same trend that we're on now.
Why we're trying to get cheaper water to ag through the tax.
Because that maintains the lifestyle that people move here
Too
for.
far, yeah.
So, and then, just for catastrophic reasons, we put it down to just 5,000 acre feet. There's no ag. This is the impact on, there's no ag file because there's, or chart because there's no ag. This would be 68% of our residential customers would have greater than 25% bill impact.
That's-
It would be actually 50%.
Yeah.
And see what,
Yes.
this will, what happens if, right?
This is not what the water authority does.
No.
They put their head in the sand
Yeah,
and they say, Sandag says we're gonna grow forever.
Yeah,
And
they have-
so
they have
here's our
5%
50,000
fixed.
Let's see, 700,000 people left California last year.
So I think what, and Tracy's been modifying the slides and
This
she
is great.
offered to show them all to me this morning, but I said, no, I'm going with what you got. So hopefully I'm not going to step on her toes, but
No, I'm almost done.
are you going to ask which scenario?
So this is the scenario that staff is recommending.
There we go.
Is scenario 2. It's got a more stable revenue recovery. It's not quite as, aggressive as scenario 1, although scenario 1 would be great. It's less impactful on agriculture. It delays the risk of scenario 4 and 5, which would have a significant impact on residential in the long run. The benefits to this rate increase are, continue to provide safe, reliable water, provide continuous 24/7, 365 wastewater collection services, eliminate the operating deficit and build up reserves, leverage technology to benefit our customers. There's a lot of things we want to do here that we can't always afford to do. And the most important thing, replacement of our aging infrastructure so we can reduce breaks and emergency shutdowns. So staff is recommending that we open the rate hearing today for June 25th, 2023. We're recommending option 2 for wastewater. That was the one with the debt financing, and option 2 for water on the rate notices to go out by May 11th. So I'm happy to answer any questions or go back to any slides.
What kind of debt financing what kind of debt financing is possible in our current state?
So with wastewater, we actually have a pretty good story to tell because we sat on reserves for a number of years. We built up the funds to build the Lift Station 1 project.
Right.
We have pictures. We can show that it's 90% complete. We can show that we have paid for, I would say.
They're doing a good job and monitor every day.
So the rate hearing is actually June 27th. Did I say 25th?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I keep saying 25th. We paid for, we've paid for, 75-80% of that project out of our reserves. So we have a good story to tell to the banks. I've actually already reached out to quite a few of them.
And what kind of interest rates are we looking at?
I don't know
Return?
yet. I haven't
Okay.
gotten in those.
And you're looking 3 years out anyway, so are they going to give you a number?
Oh, no, this would be in the. short-
No,
this is
we need a $5 million loan to get us through to build up our reserves so that we can finish Lift Station 1. We don't get that 2.5 final payment from Citro until April of 2024. That's
Maybe
when
they'll pay
it's
us early.
scheduled. Maybe we'll get some. I don't want to see us go that low. So I do recommend that we go out for the 5 million now.
We have to see what the rate is.
So,
Yeah.
well,
This is one of the reasons why I'd want to go, if I can, with their
Check your
license.
schedule.
that makes
Because
sense.
We got Farmers Home Administration loan money. Okay. And it was low interest rates
Hmm.
when in the 80s, interest was going through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, believe me,
So
we're, that thing we were in is, our grants person has been pushing
Yeah.
hard to get in every crack we can get in. It's just
Yeah.
not easy to get money out of the federal government.
So I'll make a comment on the Citro development. What I'm seeing right now, we went through a lull earlier, late 22 and early 23. Right now, I have more cash buyers in the $1 million to $2 million range than we have properties. And the properties that are being built over on the other side, or some of them are in the million range. They're not going to sit.
Yeah, maybe things go,
They're
maybe
not
Kurt's
gonna
got great
sit.
news for us.
Yeah.
I'm pumping Kurt up here for his item coming up, but, and they're gonna get, yeah, Kurt will tell us, we're gonna start grading this summer, right, Kurt? No, you can, he's gonna call me later and say, "Tom, what are you doing?"
So why did you recommend scenario 2 and not 1?
I'm sensitive to the impact on residential as well as ag. I'm always looking for that balance.
And that makes sense.
And
Because my thought is we're gonna get beat up because we thought we were gonna be done in 2 years and gone. Okay,
Yeah.
and we went a year, we've gone a year past and now we're at 3 years and now we have to bite the bullet and do it. Okay.
right.
Do we want to go back down that scenario again?
I'd be happier with scenario 1.
My perspective is that we're gonna get beat up anyway.
So why not
Then
do it once?
why aren't we
8 and
doing
9.
scenario 1
Well,
and take the beating that we're gonna get?
if Andrew was here, she would tell you that the larger your first year increase in one of these things makes it more likely you're gonna not have to do the larger increase in the
Right.
future. The smaller it is, the more likely it is, because, all things being equal. And
The
so,
concern that I've got is if we're not successful in getting out,
Oh.
or it gets delayed 2 or 3 years because
This ain't
they
gonna get
want to
any
do
easier.
the MSR,
yeah.
then
It's gonna get brutal.
I don't think that's been taken into consideration and going to.
So that's certainly a valid point. What we tried to do is put a whole range of options here. And I agreed with Tracy that the scenario 2 was a balancing act, but there's definitely an argument for scenario 1. And I don't think there are, some of the other scenarios are,
They're not valid. They're not viable.
well, I mean, one of the things, and it was a useful exercise, and I appreciate Director Mack asking staff to go through that exercise, is to show what happens if these things occur that we're hoping don't occur. It's not, was it Mac or was it Meg? Oh,
It's me.
sorry.
So
One
the
of the
difference
guys.
between
The
difference between-
I say Mac and Meg and those, sorry.
scenario 1 and scenario 2 for the average residential customer is $20 versus $18 a month.
Then go for 1.
That's up to you guys to give us directions, because then we got to produce the.
How
does it affect the ag people?
The ag is so all over the place. It's hard to give like an average ag customer. There's just such extreme variations in their
Yeah, I mean, they go
uses.
from $20,000 a
So
month.
what I'll do,
Yeah.
once you guys think,
No, but I mean, as far as an increase, because
As
obviously
a percentage.
agriculture is leaving. It went from 14,000 down to 7. I
But
talked to a farmer, he's ready to bail. I mean,
Yeah.
how much of an increase is it gonna be for the agricultural guys?
Yeah.
so 35% of ag would on scenario 1 would have less than 5% bill impact, annual bill impact.
Which keeps them here longer.
27%
what we need to
would have
do.
a 5 to 10%. So it just brings their bill impact down a little bit. They have huge bills. A lot of it's on
Yeah,
variables. So
it's significant.
And that's almost less than 5% is in an inflationary.
That's correct. That doesn't even hit the inflation.
Well, you have to remember also that there's 1% of the customer of those people use a significant amount
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
of the
Yeah.
usage.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes a couple of percent here and there makes a difference, and whether
Yeah.
they're here.
It could
or
be
this-
Whether they're here or gone, and I think we'd all rather keep them here.
Well, I mean, it's in the interest of the single family in the long run, as Tracy indicated, that there's a robust agricultural
Gotcha.
sector here,
Exactly.
because they help pay the bills. If they're all gone and there's dead trees on all the hillsides and just
And nobody
trees and
paying any
houses,
fees.
that's going to be a real challenge for everybody's water bill that's left. And it
That's right.
has been here. That's a challenge of being
Yeah.
a large rural district with a small number of people.
And the farmers in the Delta pay nothing.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't get
Nothing.
started.
I didn't hear.
$25 an acre for an IED.
and we
Yeah.
maintain their,
So-
and we maintain their levies for them.
It's-
Yeah.
That's why I said some of the water rights things may need some revisiting, because we're on the short end of that stick. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that.
Any other discussion?
I'll also add on the water, the reason that I'd recommended option 2 is I didn't have option 1 on there before you guys had me add that. And I didn't know how much I could push you guys. So I probably would have gone to 1.
You miss 100% of the shots
Is-
you don't take.
Is
There you go.
Is there a motion?
I would like to move that we accept option one.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Me, I just have a quick question. Option one on staff's recommendation
Okay.
or scenario one that was proposed?
Rate scenario.
Yeah.
Rate scenario one, excuse me.
Sorry.
Okay, so it's water option 1 and wastewater option 2.
So we have 4 ayes and 1 opposed. Dunstan Smith. Okay, well, we got the first one off the list.
It gets easier from here.
Was there?
And that also approves the date for the rate hearing as well.
Yeah, our June meeting.
For June.
Oh, it's
27th.
June,
Okay,
okay.
great. Thank
June
you.
27th.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what.
There's a 45 day.
Oh, it says
notice
June
period.
25th on my
Yeah, that's
presentation.
what-
Thank you. I'll pull that off the screen.
thank you, Tracy. That's an awful lot to
Tracy.
digest.
Thank you.
How did the ratepayers get notified?
So I have to send out a rate notice by May 11th, which is 45 days before this rate hearing. We send it out to every property owner in the district. We put it in our newsletter. We talk about it at town hall. We put it in the newspaper and we put it on our website.
Okay, and I'm going to add, please make sure that the sub-meters account holders
It goes-
get notified.
It goes to properties and the
Property
Sub-meters.
owners, yes. Everyone that's registered on the county gets a
Property
notice
owner.
in their mail, every property owner.
Perfect.
So we try to get it out beyond what the law requires.
Awesome.
And we also re-upped, we used to send just really verbatim, like boring 1-pagers, and now we do like a 6-page, really informative. We try to get people to come be part of the process because we want people to
Lots of
come in here and hear
pictures.
this message. We want them to understand this process and the challenges that we're all facing.
and get them to join our committees, because if they've got a better idea,
Yeah.
we're all ears.
Item number 20, discussion and possible action to approve a 24-month payment plan for account 005458-000.
Okay, so this was a customer in area 5 that had an illegal connection that was on this meter. From the sounds of it, it was when they purchased it. They had purchased from a contractor that got the house repossessed and had done a lot of unethical things to the property, took the doors with them when it got repossessed. So this couple didn't know about the illegal connection. It caused a leak. And so what we did is we sent them a letter. We had charged them for the leak. And there was no way to tell how much water had gone through it. It looks like none had gone through since they've purchased the property. So we did send them a
I
fine.
Came to that conclusion.
Yeah, because he said he was going to turn it back on.
Yeah.
Well, he was confused by that. He thought it was something feeding his irrigation and nothing came, of it when it was turned off. In any case, we did only charged him for the amount to repair, which was $5,521.27. We had some back and forth communication with him that I've included with the action. They accept that it's their responsibility. They're just asking for a 24-month payment plan for that.
I think that's fair.
You too.
Any discussion? Is there a motion?
I move we accept the 24-month payment plan.
I'll second that. Moved by Director Moss, seconded by Director Hamilton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 21, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution 23-07, authorizing submittal of application for CAL FIRE grant for which Rainbow Municipal Water District is eligible.
So this is a grant application that we want to put in for easement maintenance that'll allow us to do just a little bit more robust removal of trees and things throughout our easement. I think that we qualify maybe for about $160,000, but we do have to have this resolution approved by the board before we can apply for a grant.
Thank you for answering the question. Any additional discussion?
You're going to see a presentation later on the program that we do for easement management clearing, as I recall, Chad.
Yes.
So part of these funds will fund that sort of work.
Help fund that, okay?
And in all our properties, tank sites and all that.
We are
We're
trying
saying-
very hard to make it all encompassing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easements, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, certain easements and then also our reservoir sites and facilities that
The roads going up
Keep-
to them.
keep them all
We're trying to
clear.
do it all.
And Shane.
We've made Kurt wait for a while. Why don't we move 22 to the end
we
to
get
make him
a
wait,
vote on that?
wait a little more?
Did you?
Did not vote on
We
20.
didn't get a
We need to
vote yet.
vote on 20.
So we're just
Yeah, I'm sorry.
asking
All
for
the-
option one to adopt the resolution 23-07.
Motion and second.
Yeah, so moved.
Motion second, motion by Director Gaska, seconded by Hamilton. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 22, discussion and possible action to quitclaim easements for the Campus Park West Development, Division 4.
Chad, you want to take him through history lane here?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to read it all, but we try to put this in the, there's things going on for so
Well,
long. We try to
If you-
reiterate.
If you read the memo, we walked you down.
Yes.
When staff was first writing the memo, it was a little bit more clunky. And I'm like, well, if we're going to go down memory lane, let's go all the way down memory lane. So that's why
1987.
that's why we gave the background. But this is for Campus Park West. This is a proposed mixed use master plan community developing approximately 116 acres. The district has existing easements within the parcel. If the board will recall, we've done this with the Citro development. We've done this on Bonzel Oaks off of Gopher Canyon Road, where we have existing facilities. And then as the new roads and track maps come through, those facilities are either going to be abandoned, relocated, whatever the case is. And so this is where we no longer are going to need those easements anymore. We're going to get new ones as the project continues. Similar process. This is in Division 4, and the board is being asked to approve the subject quitclaim. Campus Park West development is located between Interstate 15 and Highway 76. It'll span both sides when ultimately built out. It's part of, it's going back, like Tom said, about 4 decades, and it originally started as the Hewlett Packard facility, and that's who built the Bridge to Nowhere, which Kurt will, we've had Robert and I and Ramon, we've had many meetings, and that bridge is not going to be to nowhere when this project actually does happen.
Really?
It'll be something, yes.
Besides.
While we're young.
Turn around once you get across it, right?
Correct. Well, so very, just kind of a sidebar from this, but just a little bit more history on this. As you are on Highway 76 and you make a left onto Pankey Road, the district has the Pankey Sewer Lift Station right there. There's a bridge that you would cross for the San Luis Rey River to enter the property. The county is making that, the project owner, Campus Park West, raise that bridge and road 10 feet.
Oh, my God.
And when I first met, I was like, well, this can't be for a line of sight because now you're going to lose it to Highway 76. It is to plan for 100-year flood. So before they can do anything, the county is.
Is our lift station high enough?
The lift
I know
station.
ours goes up.
So it's in, Robert was on site with me and I walked up to the top of the hill and we shot it. And it's about where our wooden split rail fences is where that road's coming up to. Robert and Ramon are actually happy because it gives more storage within the sewer system.
That's true.
There you go.
But yeah, there's all kinds of implications to get done
Manholes are
on
good for
this-
something, huh?
on this project. So the developer is working through all of these loopholes from all the different parties. So the current developer, Pappas Investments, is proposing this mixed-use development. The developer has requested that the district quitclaim existing easements within the proposed development. The requested easements do not have any district facilities. I think that's really important because when we did Bonzel Oaks, we were actually swapping and we did the same on Citro. We don't have any existing facilities, nor are any facilities being proposed on their plans. So district staff has reviewed this, legal has reviewed this, and there are, we can foresee no negative consequences for the current or planned infrastructure updates. So with that, staff is requesting that the board authorize option 1 on this. And I don't know if Kurt has anything else you'd like to add, or if the board has any questions, we're happy to answer any questions.
Kurt's been waiting around for 90 minutes. Maybe you going to tell us what the status of the project is and when you think you'll be grading.
Good afternoon, board, and Tom, thank you very much. I'll be calling you later. You're correct. So just real quickly regarding these quitclaims, as Chad mentioned, what we have are some old abandoned, well, I shouldn't say they're abandoned, but they're unoccupied easements that we need to clear off the site's title for the final map purpose. And then once we go through with development, we'll be constructing new infrastructure, including water and sewer that will be getting dedicated to Rainbow, just like we did at Horse Creek Bridge. Regarding the timing of the project, we up until last Friday, our goal was to break ground this September. Due to ongoing plan and issue resolution with Caltrans, the decision was just made to push that out to September of 2024. The reason that the September date from this September to next September is because of the bridge that we have to demo and rebuild, which Chad mentioned, and the avian breeding season. We've got a lot of setback requirements, noise restrictions, things of that nature that going out there with rock hammers to take that bridge down, we just can't do it during the avian breeding season, which is basically from mid-February through September 1. So that's the reason for pushing an entire year. That being said, we are moving forward with processing our site plans that will actually lay out the number and size of the buildings as well as the residential units. And from that sense, we'll then, once we have the designated site plans approved, we'll be preparing the on-site infrastructure plans and also the construction drawings for the buildings themselves.
Thank you, Kurt. I know I was putting you on the spot there, and then you will call me later and give me grief for that, but that's okay. The other question that we get from time to time is there going to be a Trader Joe's in there, or what is it going to be?
I don't think that they have signed any actual leases, but they have been going to the all of the trade shows. I believe they have 4 of them a year with basically the commercial retailers. And there has been extremely strong interest from quite a few of the retailers. What I can tell you is there's going to be some large, very well-known chains. There's also going to be coffee and other restaurant facilities.
Nice.
Where is
Yeah.
it?
And that's about as
By you.
much detail as I'm allowed to
At the
provide.
airport, Bonsall Airport.
All right. Well, Kurt, we appreciate you hanging in here for the whole time.
Yeah,
And I'll talk to you later, I guess.
Always a pleasure, Tom. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Any further discussion?
I move we accept option 1.
Moved by Director Moss, seconded by Director Hamilton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 1 abstention. Is that what you?
Yeah.
4 ayes and 1 abstention from Director Townsend. Item number 23, discussion and possible action to appoint Heather Mitchell as an alternate member to the Communication and Customer Services Committee. We have an update on this from General Manager Kennedy, and we're
Yes.
going to modify the discussion a little.
Yeah,
bit, I think.
so I figured we were going to pull this. We figured leave it on there because it's related to committee participation and whatnot. And unfortunately, after her first week here, or at the end of her first week, Heather decided that it wasn't the right fit for her and resigned after only a week. So we're now back in recruitment mode. This was just last Friday or Thursday. And so it was unfortunate, but I think sometimes when people
Better late
realize
than
it's not
never.
the right fit for them, it's good to do it right at the gate. And, I don't have any specific details on that. I haven't spoken to her since, but that's where we're at. So we can't do this, but we do have, I figured we would have this on the agenda because I know Director Moss has some information that I know she shared with some of you that this would be an appropriate place in the meeting, I imagine, since we're talking about committees and board representation and things like that, to have her tell us what's going on.
I'm not really sure. You mean about me leaving?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is it's a spot in the agenda that's about.
Oh, okay. So I brilliantly, as a real estate broker of over 40 years, decided, gee, I think I better sell my house because the HOA is getting a little silly and it's probably going to take me 3 or 4 months. Sold in 3 days, all cash, full price. And I'm out less than 30 days later, i.e. as of effective May 1. So I came in as soon as I found out and spoke with Tom because that's who I am. It's the proper thing to do. And I really did not want to resign from Rainbow or as a director. I've enjoyed very, very much the experience and the knowledge and the relationships. So I am going to resign, but I won't disappear.
And so as part of that process, you know, and in consultation with Alfred, once she's no longer living there, then the seat becomes vacant. We have 60 days in which to appoint a new person to that. We do have to give notice, you know, and now we'll take this as official notice. A 15-day notice will have to go up that's posted in 3 locations within her district, which sometimes is her division. Sometimes hard to
Been
find
challenged,
public
yeah.
places because but we'll find it like the school, I'm sure, or
The
places
school,
around there.
The post office.
Yeah, and we'll find 3 locations.
Our
And
construction zone, lift station
yeah,
1.
that's true. And then take those from
Is
there.
the post office in your zone or
don't know.
mine? I think it's actually in Division 2.
Yeah, it might be. Well,
I don't know.
we'll find
We'll find
out.
out. But
Don is an
I'd still
expert that
post it
she's-
in the post office.
I don't know if Don's done every division so far. Just about, yeah, over time. So
Market at Gopher
well, now
Canyon?
one of the
Market at Gopher Canyon and Vista Way? Is
I'm
that it?
sorry, I didn't hear.
The market at Gopher Canyon.
Vista Way, is that?
I don't
in the
know.
district?
I don't
No.
know. I don't
No?
think so. No,
No.
no.
that's
We don't, that goes up, that's too
Yeah.
far up.
Right.
Oh, it is?
We'll find the
Yeah.
spots, but there, one of the blessings of our committee systems is that we do have people who are like Flint and Julie who have been involved and the communications committee. She's the former chair of the communication committee, also ran for that seat last election, and Pam and all her real estate signs took
Name
the day-
recognition.
took the day. And so she has indicated that she's open to applying for it. Now we have to go 15-day notice, then whoever applies can apply, and then the board will need to make a selection. As Director Hamilton will as knows that sometimes when you have these truncated time periods and the way that a notice goes out, it doesn't get to people until after our next board meeting. So the question will be whether we do this in the May meeting or the June meeting. Technically, we can do it at the May meeting and see who we get. We could, if the board directs us to put a special mailer out to just that division in, you know, and get that out of the next week. So they would at least have it well in advance of our next meeting. So you could have people come in. I know that, you know, that'll cost, you know, I don't know, somewhere between $500,000, I imagine, to do a mailer to the couple thousand people.
It's about 1,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 2,300 now for every door direct.
But just
Specify
in your
that.
division?
Just in my division,
Hmm.
EDD, because I can carve out exactly where I am.
Well, I'll, okay, between 1,000 and 2,300.
Well, we use a service, so
Yeah.
we probably get some rate.
But whatever the case, it comes down for us trying to get direction from the board, you know, when you have new candidates coming in, I remember several of you, well, I know Mig was, and when we had a vacancy in number 4 and we had several candidates, but Mig came to us with experience working at Redding Springs, and that's, you know, you don't have to explain what CSDA and Aqua are to that person. That's helpful. And Julie obviously has been with us for a number of years and has been on all the committees. So a good candidate. Now, is there another candidate out there who's going to have better qualifications? Sure, could be. I haven't met them yet, so we'll find out.
Yeah, I have to say that it served me well to be on the Budget and Finance Committee for 5 years before I became on the board.
Yeah.
Because I got the jargon and I kind of got what was going on without being totally afloat.
Right. It's a steep curve.
It's a big advantage. And
Yep.
and I mean, that would give Julie a really head start to help.
Yeah. So, but we can't make any
Okay,
appointments today,
Jason.
just to have a discussion and to get some direction from you on how aggressively you want us to do it to avoid I don't want to have another conversation like they with Hayden 7 years ago, whatever that was.
Yeah, thanks very much for giving me a notice 10 days after the due date.
Yeah, I know. It's,
And in that light, in fairness, I would like to see a direct mailer go out to all the division
4
board.
well, no.
Division 1.
One.
Yeah.
Division 1.
Do you have news for us, Meg? Is there something?
Yeah. To all of
Yeah.
Division One and that way we've at least assured that we've attempted to let everybody in the division know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just that if we don't do in 60 days, it's just so you know, Patty, I think that everybody else knows, the Board of Supervisors picks.
picks, yeah.
So this isn't
Yes.
something that by the June meeting, for sure it needs to be done. Obviously, we like to get it done, as
Yeah.
soon as we can to get representation back.
And
Dawn?
we've done special meetings as well, just for that
Yeah,
purpose.
if we need to,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, we did that for Bill Stewart.
Right.
Tracy, how long would it take you, honey, to get to these people that would do that direct mailing?
Overnight.
Like to get it mailed out.
Yeah. they
Probably
have
be
to-
early next
they have to
week.
find it.
yeah, Dawn has the notice. Well,
Doesn't take that.
she hasn't made it yet, but
Yeah.
she has copies of ones we've
Well,
done before.
before.
Yeah.
But oh, snap.
Yeah, doesn't take that long, right, Carly?
Yeah, if we would use InfoSend or somebody else, but whatever, we'll get.
Whoever.
Whatever.
Well, I'm just thinking the sooner the better.
Right.
Because then we can address this in May.
Right,
Yeah.
I think that's,
Yeah.
that's the staff's preference,
That's
but we just
appropriate,
want to get
yes.
your, and then when that. you
Get
know,
the clock ticking.
And then there'll need to be, obviously different realignments, I mean, but depending on the selected candidates, who's on which committee and whatnot. We'll
Yep.
sometime, whenever you have a
Yeah.
board change, some of that stuff changes as well, so. All right, well, there's no action needed here. We're just trying to get some input and give Pam an opportunity to make her announcement, which is a bummer, but
Yeah.
it is what it is, and we got to keep chugging along.
Okay, item number 24, San Diego County Consolidated Redevelopment Oversight Board call for ballots.
Yeah, this is the call for ballots for the San Diego County Consolidated Redevelopment Oversight Board, which we don't have any interest in. So when the redevelopment agencies were all wound up, they created these boards to deal with the money that was left over in the redevelopment agencies. We don't have any financial stake, which I hadn't planned on us taking any particular stake in this. We don't need to vote, but LAFCO made it clear that just like with the other elections, if they don't get enough votes, there's no quorum, they're going to come back out again. This happened in the special district seat election, I want to say 6 or 8 years ago. There was an opening and they didn't get enough votes and we had to go. And when I was head of the CSDA, I had to go start making phone calls to get people, hey, you got to get this on your agenda. We need more people. Barry Willis had no problem this last time because he won, I think 43-9. And he visited 51 agencies.
Dear
So,
Barry, he worked it.
yeah, boy, he worked.
He
it
did
hard.
first time too.
Yeah, he worked it hard. Yeah. So for this one,
And he's
there's two candidates, Timothy Robles from Lakeside Fire Protector and Patrick Sanchez from VID. I've never met Mr. Robles. Some of you probably met Patrick at CSDA meetings. He's a nice enough guy. But I don't know which one of those has any better qualities than other. It's one of those things to where you could flip a coin. For sure. It's, I don't know. So, but we
Well,
should vote.
VID is an adjacent district.
District,
are.
right,
Right.
Okay, North County. Where's the other one?
Lakeside.
Lakeside.
like said.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to vote for the VID guy.
I
Well, that's-
second that motion.
All right. That's a fair enough
Move,
assessment.
moved by Director Gaska, seconded by Director Hamilton to nominate Patrick. What's his last name?
Sanchez.
Sanchez, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nays? Okay, motion passes unanimously to nominate Patrick Sanchez. Item number 25, Aqua 2023 Board Officers Election, authorized voting representative form. This happens at the Aqua Conference, is that correct?
Right.
So we can nominate somebody from this group that's going to be going that will vote.
Well, they're not going to do
I
it.
think this form is to say they're not going to do the voting at the conferences any longer.
Right.
I don't
They're going to do it electronically between July and September.
know. Okay,
Because it used to be you had to show up and remember they gave you those
The fobs.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fob thing. And you had to do that. I guess they got some feedback that people were like, hey, come on, if I can't make that, or if I missed that one session, it was confusing for some folks. So now they're going to do it electronically. They
Okay.
just want us to designate
a voting
or-
representative.
person, and it had been Director Mack in the past, but hold on.
Actually,
It
last
was,
time
that was you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So you would,
I'm the rep.
you're the rep, so
Well, I would nominate Director Gasca since he is the Aqua rep and is most in tune with what they're doing.
I'll second that.
Moved by Director Hamilton, seconded by Director Moss to nominate McGaska as the Aqua Board of Officers Election Representative. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nomination passes. Item number 26, board member request for authorization to attend upcoming meetings or conferences or seminars. Anybody have any special requests outside of the ones that are normally scheduled?
You mentioned earlier about the one for, I want to go in August.
So
CSEA.
the annual CSEA conference will be in August. And we can get that registration done now if anyone wants to attend, so I can start making those arrangements. So just let me know who would like to go.
and just so you know, Robert will be giving a presentation, holding a session there, and Malik and I will be doing another one. Our PEIR project, and Robert's doing one on organizational leadership, I believe, or
Location?
It's August,
at the
August
conference. I don't know
28th
which
to
room we're
August,
gonna be.
Probably Palm Springs.
I'm sorry,
August 28th
Monterey.
to August 31st.
in
In
Monterey.
Monterey,
Monterey.
correct. I just say the sooner the better because hotels
Oh
book
my
up
God, they
really fast now.
Lightning fast.
Yes.
Okay,
That's me.
You want to be in Seaside?
so if you want to attend, get your name in the hat real quick.
Me.
It doesn't need approval of the board. This is an approved
Right.
conference, right?
Yeah. I'll have to be there.
And
You can't do your
Date of it?
presentation virtually?
It's not COVID anywhere.
it likely will not be Malik with
Oh.
4-month-old twins.
Oh,
I think I will probably attend
Okay.
attend in his place.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's probably not, that's right. I forgot about that.
So yeah.
4-month-old twins, that'll be, yeah.
Oh, my
About time to leave.
Hey, honey, I'm leaving. Hope you're leaving to hire a lawyer.
Yeah,
Are there any other
It'll be warm up
directors
there.
interested in attending that?
I gotta check my.
I've got to check as well.
Okay, let me know what dates that you want to go and what dates you want to fly. That would help a lot.
I want to fly.
The dates you want to fly. I should say.
Oh.
All right.
I guess we're down to my item, number 26. Excuse me, 27. The right-of-way clearance, clearing update. Sorry, I almost skipped you, Malik. I mean, Chad.
Call me whatever you want. It's okay.
Hey, you.
Oh, someone else did it. I went to control the mouse and IT is all over it. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so this was at the request of the board to bring a presentation on the different clearing efforts that the district does. And this is district-wide. When I was first hired here in July of 2019, it was the first time we had formalized. We went out for bid for an actual company to do it. And when I got the package, it was like, I think I started with Robert and it was 2 or 3 days later was the pre-con to the thing that all district sites. So I was like, oh, all encompassing. And then as we did it, we're like, well, it's the tank, but not the road. And it was this part, but not this building. And it didn't include a lot of easements. So it has really evolved over the years since 2019. We have not gone back out for a bid for a formal thing. We've been doing it more ad hoc, as needed. Where it's done, we are in close discussions with the fire marshals each year, as well as our customers. So there's customers who have easements that run through their properties. And in fact, I was just talking with Director Gasca prior to this meeting where they'll say, hey, we need you to come out and clear your easement. It's a fire hazard. And we go out and we have it surveyed. And turns out we have a 20-foot easement, 20-foot wide easement, in a 100 or 150-foot path. And I'm like, well, I can mow our 20-foot strip, but I can't do your side, or you can hire someone and tell me how much we owe you to do it all. And so it's a very collaborative effort. It's been going very well. The field crews bring back a lot of, hey, this sewer easement needs to be cleared, which might have nothing to do with fire, but just access. Okay. So again, the district appropriates $200,000 each year for this brush management. Going back to that 2019, where we issued that first request. And we did the 13 tanks and 7 pump stations. That was awarded to Specialty Mowing Services, which goes by SMS. Interestingly enough, they are, their yard is in the district. They're right up here in the Fallbrook area. And anytime we go out for competitive quotes, just because of where they are in proximity, what they know, they own all of their own equipment, very low overhead. They very seldom do not get the award. When it comes to like a lot of tree trimming and pruning and stuff, sometimes the bigger companies with boom trucks will come in, but they predominantly do get it. There's been some companies that have reached out to us in the past that they would like, hey, can we get on your approved list? We tell them we don't have an approved list, but we post it. But these are kind of, hey, we just want to do this on the side, and they're not willing to get the insurance requirements that are needed to do this type of work. So, but we're always open. So
one of the things about brush clearing is that it's one of the sources of fires.
yes.
And so you definitely need people who are properly licensed and insured to do it.
And know how to do it.
Yeah, and to further that, prior to any clearing, we have a tailgate talk on site, and
Safety
a
talk.
safety tailgate talk, yes. And it will be put in the bid documents what is required. So depending on what we're clearing, we might need a water tender truck fully filled with its fire hose connections ready to go with a dedicated driver. If it's a smaller clearing that we're doing, we might operate a portable water buffalo, which is just a trailer filled with a few hundred gallons. But again, a dedicated person, they have to have radios. And if they show up without those things, we don't do the job that day. So I always end those tailgate talks with, we will not be on the news for causing a fire, trying to prevent a fire. And we have started small little fires, but with those plans. It
You're right
doesn't
on.
even reach the safety office. I say, hey, we had a near miss or an incident today, but there was no injuries, no damage to property. So it does happen. You get out there, you look at our Beck Reservoir, the site we own adjacent, those weeds are like 12 feet tall right now.
Wow.
And so they're running through with a chain whacker. There could be concrete or something and it can spark. So you never know. Okay. On average, I was astonished by this. I had to fact check this. On average, we're clearing about 50 acres of brush every single year. So we're doing a lot. Here's how much that we've been spending. It's very interesting. I feel fortunate because I have access to other departments' GL accounts. So this is operations GL account, but it started when I was in operations as project manager, and Tracy's like, we're not moving it for position to position. It's working well there. And Ramon has access in sewer when he needs it. So we all dip from this, but you can see how much we've been spending throughout the year since we started doing this. Prior to this was done by district staff, mainly the system operators. Inefficient, and expensive, and they're not doing the stuff that they needed to be doing. So this is way back. So there you can see when we clear the Beck Reservoir. So Beck has to be cleared for two reasons. The fire marshal wants it cleared for protection of property on that northerly side, and the westerly side, we're close to homes and roads, so they want that cleared. And then we also have the Department of Safety Dams, who considers this, even that water that you see is just rainwater that has not evaporated yet. This is a non-operational reservoir. Tom, it was taken out of service in like 16, I think.
2010.
Earlier, okay.
About the time I came.
We still have an annual inspection. We cannot remove this from the list of registered dams within the state of California.
Even though it
yes.
has no water in it.
Correct.
And
Correct.
We even had to make a new inundation plan for it a few years ago.
Yes. So,
I think somebody likes flying.
What it is. Yeah, that's it.
And so they're like, you have to have it cleared for their purposes so that they can see if skunks or anything are burrowing into the dam. So we do it for both reasons. We also own the parcel directly to the west of the Beck Reservoir. I think that one, I have the acreage here on that one. I think it's just under 5 acres. 4.6 acres. And so we have to clear that. That house burnt down, I believe, in the 2007 fires. The district purchased it with the intent of possibly one day building a water treatment plant there. When the state mandated that open reservoirs needed to be covered, Beck was deemed an obsolete reservoir and it was too expensive to cover it. Hence the treatment plant never came. So we're actually completely aside from this. You'll be getting an update at a future board meeting. We are going through the process of having the parcel, we call it 4355 Citrus, appraised, and also the Bonsall Reservoir, which is also an inactive, unused reservoir. We're having those appraised, and we're going to go through the Surplus Land Act process to try and sell these unused parcels, because this costs tens of thousands of dollars to clear,
Well,
and we don't have any use for it. It's
don't
not
we have
providing
a
us any benefit.
tax burden on that as well?
Not a tax, we're.
Exempt,
from
exempt taxes, okay.
So with those, that lot to the west,
Yes.
it would,
Yeah.
they would be, it could be view lots.
It's pretty low,
pretty
actually.
low?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
Citrus
it
and
slopes
Fern.
down.
Yeah, it's actually
I'm
pretty low.
trying to
You
picture
drive,
it.
you drive up a little bit to it.
Yeah,
But
But the road goes down.
but the road goes down.
got it.
And
I see it now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But 4.6 acres, what we're seeing a lot, the request that we're getting and that comes through Tracy's is I had these 4.6 acres. I've subdivided it into 3 or 4 lots now. But
Mhm.
this one does have a water service already to it. So zoned residential. So we'll just go
Yeah.
through that
You can't divide.
surplus land
Yeah.
act.
You might get to,
No, you can't divide that in that location.
okay.
Well, someone might want 5 acres.
Yep.
Take
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I want to stop clearing it.
Yeah.
I did when I first was working here for Robert. I did look into this whole area to get goats to do it because these quotes are so expensive.
Expensive, yeah.
That's actually more expensive and it takes more time. So we're gonna go with
Really?
the
Goats are
mechanical
more
method.
expensive than a mower. Okay.
Pam, what do you think that lot would go for?
At 5 acres and it's got water.
Yes,
So it has to have power.
it has power.
So your minimum on that would be 300, can be as much as 5.
We're still waiting on the formal appraisal, but I bet you
Yeah.
Pam's gonna be within very close.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. So here is
And that's
the
Bonsall Reservoir
Paula Mesa Reservoir.
tank.
You can see
Okay.
down here, apologies for the people viewing online, you won't see, but there's where the heli hydrant sits right there. And so you can see everything highlighted in red is what the district owns. And so there's a lot of clearing.
Well, we own the whole thing, but that's what.
Yeah.
And so as you go down the slope, there's a fire hydrant right down there. And we had to have that surveyed because this landowner and this landowner wanted us to clear theirs as well. So they see us out there and they're like, just come over. So we actually found the exact pin, put in a monument. It's the fire hydrant. And so we clear it right to it. So do that. So yep, that's the Paula Mesa Reservoir. And this one here, this is the Morrow tank, right adjacent to the Morrow Reservoir, which we're
reservoir.
currently using at about 50%. But you can see, we don't clear the whole slope. We clear right around here so that crews can get down to it. And then there's more clearing that takes place up at the top near the road as well.
Clear the whole slope.
We're just trying to save money
Money.
and it helps with erosion.
Stabilize.
You,
It helps
why
with
I'm asking.
erosion.
You want to, something like that is also kind of a fire break, is we're not going to come right up to the tank.
Tank,
Burn
yeah.
it a little bit away from it, but you don't want it right on.
Got it.
Yeah.
and the key is they have easy access. So
And up at the
Benny-
fence line, it'll be a very similar
Got
right
it.
there. So we keep the vegetation in the middle for stabilization. Sometimes if there's some really large like sumac trees growing or something, we'll take those down, but it just,
Yeah.
And eucalyptus, the candle of the west.
yeah. Okay.
Here's
Here's some of the equipment that is used. This is the Rainbow Hills Reservoir. This is in Division 5. So you can see it's pretty cool because we get out there and they have this equipment that can go, they're on our reservoir site, reaching over the fence
I love it.
by
The
doing
brush
it.
hog.
Yeah. And then this one on the left, that is a remote control driven mower called a bush hog.
Huh.
So
Those
all-
are fun to ride.
all kinds of fun stuff. The guy has a remote control up there doing it.
I don't know. That's Jeremy Renner.
So here we have Gopher tank. And then, Gopher tank. And then you have on your way up to the Gomez tank, and you can see their toe in there. That's the water buffalo. That's would be required at that site.
Mhm.
And so this is Gopher, Morrow, and on your way up to Gomez. This one was cleared because the IT department called and said, we have these antennas up here on top of the tank. And these eucalyptus trees are growing so large, our antennas are losing line of sight. So that's again, inclination to us. All right, we'll go do a full site survey, but also we got to down those trees so that the radios can continue to communicate.
Did you down them or just top them?
In that case, we're going to down it. We don't want the eucalyptus.
grow right back.
Yeah, we
Okay.
don't want the eucalyptus and I don't want to have to go do it again in 3 years. So
They're non-natives.
if it was
And they're
oak, we
fire
would
hazard.
very nicely trim it. Or tell Ahmed to move his antenna. Here's a great photo. This is our connection number 6. This
Over
is
off
in
Gofford County.
right there off Aqueduct and West Lilac.
Jesus.
I got brought out when we started doing this program, and it was Mark Walker who actually brought me out and said, is there anything you can do for this? And well, what is it? I couldn't even.
What is
It was-
Chlorine building.
yeah, it was an old chlorine building. You can see this channel right there. That's what used to put in the 1-ton chlorine cylinders. That was actually 3 large trees. We downed it. All the neighbors thanked us because it turned out kids would come party there. We found a lot of beer bottles at the bottom of those trees. So the neighbors were all very grateful because now they had nowhere to hide and party at night.
Yeah.
And this one came up with, again, staff just going, man, it's literally overtaking our building.
What about the North Reservoir?
Oh, yep. Sorry about that. So North Reservoir and the easement, this is again came from staff. Staff was out there walking our easements and the pipeline alignment. And there's appurtenances, air and vacs, blow offs, valves, whatever it is, and they just can't get to it. It's so overgrown. They're trying to hike it and it's too overgrown. We can go out there.
One of our net connections down here, number 9 connection. It comes up all the way up this hill, very remote. I've taken most of you on the tour.
Yeah.
Where you look from that floating cover reservoir way down the canyon. We've got to get out there and keep that damn thing clear. Because if you let it go, then it becomes impassable the day you get there. That's something that you need somebody who's a specialty mowing service to deal with, because but it's also something to where you got to be super careful of wildfire as you're doing that work.
And if there was, it's always put in the conditions also, if it was a red flag warning, the work would be postponed. We don't even chance working on a red flag warning day. This is the Morrow pump station, more tree trimming that was done. This, you could see how it used to look, then it is. I don't have the after shot. That tree is completely, I was like, we didn't leave it like that, did we? We completely downed that tree. And that was for radio line of sight as well. Here you are going up Wilt Road and on your way up to Gomez again. And so you can see here on Wilt Road, it was actually Director Gasca was getting calls from some constituents that they were having to cross the double yellow line. The growth was going so far into the roadway.
Yeah.
And so again, as to Director Moss's question earlier, we did the bare bones minimum. We didn't go more than we had to go, but we cleared it and it looks really good.
And the county doesn't maintain that area? No.
It's that's actually our property comes down to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to that end.
County doesn't even maintain what they're responsible for.
It's
No,
actually,
they've been doing work on Reese Road and all that.
Yeah, so that
Wilt is actually a private
The
road,
road.
Yeah.
but it's grandfathered in from the original land survey where the county committed to provide general funds
Yeah.
to do maintenance on it. And I mean, there's all kinds of weird agreements
Yeah,
out there on
understand.
different roads
Yeah,
in the county.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So,
So you can see the crews working, they bring their own porta potties, so they have restrooms, because this is normally any, could be a 1-day effort or a multiple day effort. It just depends on what we're trying to do and where we are. Here's a great one that was brought by district staff. You can't even see our water appurtenances on the photo on the left. You can barely see the machine that's doing the clearing, but our operators are trying to get
to that fire hydrant.
to that. Yeah, it's a 4-inch wharf head, similar to a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
They're trying to get to it and find the valve. They can't do anything. And so, hey, can you guys go out there and clear this for us? So just to access some of our facilities. And then on this one. So this is the Pankey sewer clearing. This is in Division 4. This cleared access to the manholes. This one was interesting. Ramon was trying to get out there, trying to inspect the sewer line and the manholes, and the wastewater crews. It was completely impassable, and it was almost all overgrown with poison oak.
Oh,
And so we paid a premium to have this one done, and the guys were out there in their full disposable white Tyvek suits and respirators and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, we're gonna have our tailgate talk offsite because I'm not even going anywhere near it.
This sewer line, once we get the development going.
Campus Park
Campus
West.
Park West
Yes.
will be abandoned.
Yes.
But regrettably, part of the sewer line was built by Hewlett Packard as part of their sewer capacity back in the 80s.
And Tom, this is the bridge we were alluding to, correct? The one that needs to be raised to 10 feet?
Yeah.
Right there. So this is Highway 76. You're heading eastbound. This is Pankey Road. This will be the entrance into Campus Park West. And it is this bridge here that the county is mandating they raise and the whole road. 10
And
feet.
the whole road, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my
I always
God.
wondered why we went up so much to our sewer lift station.
you were getting ready.
Well, they're still getting ready. It's gonna be another year.
Okay, utility easement and maintenance. So just doing some pipeline easement clearing. again, just to maintain, you can see the line locator goes out there and he'll mark where the water line is. Once we do it, we then go out with a fiberglass pipe stand so that we can see it in future years and we're not going to lose it. But this is just to kind of get it going. You can see this is a huge effort from our peer that we did to go through that for CEQA. When we need to clear something like that, that is a huge process. This is now covered in peer. And so we're not trying to file for the different categorical exemptions. This is now covered work.
Yeah.
We still check all of those boxes for nesting and raptors and native species and all of that stuff, but it affords us to go actually clear that easement path. We do a lot of work here at headquarters. You see a lot of pepper trees as you come up. There's some eucalyptus trees. So we do a lot of clearing there, mostly for fire protection, albeit the general manager asked me to not do this so that maybe it could be a timbering source, but we want to be able to refuel. And then the photo on the right is just the number of trees that we have. We haven't really removed them, but yeah, we just kind of lace and prune and take them down and make them look clean. Some get,
you can make a eucalyptus tree.
yeah, or a pepper tree, and some do get removed. And so then just the ongoing efforts, looking to identify more grant funding operations, working with Cal OES. We have Amelia working with all the different grants. We're doing our land surveys, working with the homeowners. Again, the implementation of our peer has really helped us expedite. It was a long process to get to that point, but now it's already paying dividends
It's done
and
a great
expediting the
job,
process. We do perform in-house easement inspections. This was something that we added to GeoView. We have people that are out there all the time, whether it's a system operator or a line locator, so they can actually go out there and tag an easement. Hey, I'm out here right now, and it gives us in real time, and now we know exactly where to go. So that's been extremely helpful. And that was created with that easement layer. And then the as needed long-term maintenance contract. So ideally, that's where we're headed back when we get those rates back up to where we want these rates to be. This will be similar to what we did with janitorial and landscape, where we go out for a multi-year contract with some one-year extension, optional extensions. And we don't have to do these as onesie, twosies. We can go out there, identify all of these sites and all of these roads, and just implement a long-term contract where they would probably clear anywhere from once to twice a year.
PEER stands for what?
PEER, Programmatic Environmental Impact.
Remember that
Multi-
environmental impact
Yeah.
report that we did district-wide.
I just wasn't familiar with that acronym.
Programmatic Environmental Impact Report.
Yeah,
And that's at CSDA in Monterey in August is what is being presented.
Oh,
And so
we're the people who did it for the whole district all at once rather than a project or something else, just to save. It's just
To save money.
It took a little longer. Well, it cost us a little more the first time. You
done.
don't have to do it
every time.
Yeah.
Save money downstream.
any questions I can answer from the board?
How much?
We spend about $200,000 per year.
So you're gonna do this year for 200?
Oh, yeah.
That's what's
Yeah,
in the
we're-
budget. It
we're
could come in
on track to
less.
spend that
Could
this
it-
year.
Probably,
Say, did it stay the same, go up? go
Yeah.
Down?
well, he presented a
Yeah.
slide, but it's budget for 200,000. 151 was.
But as we go forward, there's inflationary increases.
Yeah, so I can get you the number of how much we're going to spend this year.
I was just curious.
We'll be very, very close.
It's probably going to be north of 150, but it all depends on
What they run into.
Well, and you also have a wet year, so you
So-
have a lot more vegetation.
We'll have a lot
Exactly.
than
So
you did last year.
that's actually,
So like 1920, 214, I don't know what it was in 2017 when we had the huge rains, but I'm sure it was
Yeah.
more.
so with all the rain this year and the vegetation it's going to produce for next year, we will probably need some more money, but we'll have to look at that.
So did you just put this together, or did you guys go through this in the budget?
We put this together for the board.
Oh, just for the board, okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it didn't go to the budget committee first.
It did not.
Well, the numbers for the clearing is in the budget,
Yeah, okay.
but this wasn't discussed specifically.
Because the first year you did that with this company was 19, right?
2019, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, prior to that, it had been the guys doing it.
And there's been, there's
They got others
Catch as
too.
catch can.
We've had other companies, Aztec Landscaping, Brightview, some other ones have come out and done some stuff. I mean, when I take them, for those of you that have been on the tour, I take them out to Gomez and the estimator's like, you're gonna pay more for my crew to get here than it's gonna actually be for the work. So it's important that we have on-site meetings so that
people.
they know where they're actually going.
And they know what they're being faced with in terms of trying to clear.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gomez is.
Make sure you got the right truck to tow that water tank.
Yeah.
up that hill. Don't-
Well, when you
So
look,
it
at the-
doesn't drive you
when you look at
backwards.
the actuals, it looks like you had a lot of work to do in 1920, and then
You
stayed
got
with
ahead of
it.
it.
Stayed with it, yeah.
Yeah, it dropped it down, and
Oh, yeah, if you let it go.
except now it rained this year, and so now it's going to be.
It'll be heavy again. But like a great example, working with operations, the Rainbow Hills lift station right there off Old Highway 395 and I-15.
Mhm.
That used to overgrow every year. Robert went out there and dumped a bunch of 3/4 inch rock. Now we just have to do some spraying on it.
Spraying on it.
And so it really has helped lower that cost.
Yeah.
So lots of collaboration.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
you all.
Good participation.
Mhm.
All right, here we go.
Board information items. Due to circumstance, I went through with Don, the admin code. And we apparently have no policy for relative to service animals attending any of our activities. And I think we'd probably be in better stead if we had some sort of admin policy to address whether or not service animals are welcome or not welcome.
I thought by law they have to be welcome.
Yeah, but you can also put restraints on what sort of access that they have.
So I spoke to Carlina on this and she is ready to share some information with you.
Oh, there you go.
So
Thank you.
I don't have a lot of information, but I did reach out to Aqua JPIA, who provides us with our liability insurance, and as a member agency, their general counsel will help advise us and they can help us with sample policies. They definitely recommended that we have that we prohibit non-certified trained service animals because
Yes.
there is a liability associated with having any animal here, but it could, how we address that could range from having signs posted in the lobby saying service animals only, which would require that they're certified, they have the vest, and they're an official service animal, not just an emotional support animal.
Yeah,
Unless,
My service pig won't qualify.
right.
If it's
Well, in
certified.
some cases, they are trained and
I know.
certified, bona fide service animals.
Well, I want
And
one.
that's what I was looking for is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have no position right now
Right.
that we can.
Oh, I have a
fall back
position.
to.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
So we don't have a written policy saying anything like that, but we could range depending on what the board, how you would like to direct us, anything from just posting a sign to adding something into our admin code. They didn't give me draft policies. I wanted to get more input, what you would want that to look like before we actually draft a policy. But those are kind of the range of options on how we could approach it.
Well, all I know is that one of my previous employers, the general manager at the time, said, "Yeah, go ahead, bring your pets in," and then it turned into a mess. And it was just some people had, and then until one of them finally took a poop right in front of the general manager's office, that finally ended. But it was, but in the operations building, I'm like, all right, that's it. After people got there, and then two dogs start going at it, and we're like,
And it's also
is-
important, Tom brings up an important point. It's important to distinguish that we can have two different policies, one for members of the public who attend our public meetings
And one for staff.
and one for staff, just because we might, so we can have two different policies for those things.
I think that if our insurer says allow only certified animals in, that's probably a hint.
But even so, I mean, I hate getting on a plane
Yeah.
when they come on board with cats and dogs. I'm highly allergic to cats and dander. My wife's even worse. Everybody in my family has those kind of allergies. And I'm tired, frankly, of seeing those people getting preferential treatment to the detriment of the health of other people that have to inhale. Because, especially in planes, that air is recirculating. And so that stuff is spreading all over the plane, and in a confined space like this, it wouldn't take very long for me to start reacting. And why should I have to take Benadryl or some kind of antihistamine in order to be able to deal with that animal? And
We also
there are some short hair, short haired animals,
Yeah,
no reaction. I mean, poodles and, other where they're kind of.
I think one of the other things is, I mean, if somebody's, blind with their service dog, that's fine, come on in.
Yeah.
But there's also other ways for people to participate now via Zoom and whatnot. That,
Right.
Right. If there doesn't exclude them from participation to say that, if you want to have your emotional support iguana with you, do it from home, or whatever,
I like that one, Tom. That was a good one.
Well, there's all kind of them out there.
Oh, I know. I mean, and they're arrogant about it too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's their right.
Just from a
Well,
staff standpoint
as
too.
much as I
don't
love
wanna
my
have a
dog,
presence.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
So
we can work.
recommendations are continue to investigate it a little further and give us a report back with a set of recommendations.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Receive and file information and financial items.
I don't have any other further reports, other than to say it was a fantastic event at the 2 Saturdays ago. Thank you, everybody who attending. Worked out real well.
Great job.
Even Alfred made it down.
Yeah, just barely.
Oh, I tell you,
Traffic.
traffic was ridiculous.
Yeah. Item number 30, list of suggested items for the next regular board meeting.
I just wrote down the. Pam, are you in District 1?
Yeah.
Yes.
The appointed.
Yeah, that one, we'll have the first reading of the budget. Right, Tracy?
Mhm.
Is there
For sure.
anything relative to the rate increase that we need to do for the next meeting?
No, but between now and then, we'll just be communicating it out.
Yeah, the 45-day notice will go out.
And then I'll do a similar presentation at the June rate hearing.
Okay. Any other items?
I'm sure some will come up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that are going to go to the May Engineering and Operations Committee, but we're still working on developers and timeline, so we'll have it coming up.
Okay.
Developers.
Anything else? We're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, all right.
Oh,
We got it.
sorry.
It's all right.
We're adjourned to the corporation meeting.
The Rainbow
Give me a minute.
Public Facilities Corporation.
Public. Okay.
She's got to get the recording redone. Yeah, you haven't been to one of these thrilling Rainbow Public Facilities?
Do we want to take a short break or?
Let's take 2 minutes, so.
Oh, okay,
Go for it.
we'll go fast.
Just done, when it's
Uh,
ready done?
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, this is called to order for the Rainbow Municipal Water District Board of Directors annual Rainbow Public Facilities Corporation meeting for held on Tuesday, April 25th, 2023 at the district offices. Do we need to do the Pledge of Allegiance again?
If you like, but you don't have to.
Okay. Ditto on the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
I lost Director Gas.
I think he went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
He couldn't wait.
Here.
He's have a quorum.
Okay. Director Hamilton.
Here.
Director Mack has left the meeting.
Mr. Mack has left.
Director Moss.
Here.
And Director Townsend Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Are there any amendments, additions to the agenda?
None from staff.
None from us. Instructions to allow the public comment on agenda items from those attending this meeting via teleconference or video conference. Do I need to read this aloud again?
No, nobody's here.
We have no oral or written communications from the public on this meeting.
We have not received any written communication.
Okay, do I have an approval for a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting from April 26, 2020?
I move to approve since I've read them and approved them previously.
Yes.
Moved by Director Moss, seconded by Director Hamilton. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Sorry, we still have a calling user online.
What's that?
We still have a calling user online, but no one's raising their hand, so I just wanted to point that out.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
Somebody from the Water Authority forgot that they weren't paying attention. No, maybe it's somebody, I don't know. If anybody online would like to make any comments, please raise your hand now.
Okay, old business, none. New business. A, ratify current board of directors for the Rainbow Municipal Water District Board of Directors of the Rainbow Public Utilities Facilities Corporation. Recommendation is recommended that the Board of Directors ratify the current Board of Directors and officers of the Rainbow Municipal Water District as Board of Directors and officers of the Rainbow's Public Facilities Corporation.
So someone can make a motion to that effect, then
I would,
We need to change the
do
secretary.
we need to change the
Oh.
secretary?
Yes,
you're right.
that's Michael Mack now. He volunteered.
He did. I heard him.
I heard him too.
Yeah, that's what you get for leaving early, buddy.
Yeah. So with the modification of secretary to Michael Mack, the slate of officers is proposed as given.
Don, do you need two separate actions on A and B? That's what we've done in the past.
Well,
So I'm not
but
sure.
B, how do you do it? Because B changes.
You do 9A and then you do 9B
So
as
nine-
two separate motions and two separate votes.
So I'm changing the.
9B is to ratify the current board of directors.
I see the current board.
And then
of directors.
appoint
The
officers.
officers.
Sorry, I understand now.
And then when there's a change in Pam's seat, the other person will be part of the current board at that time.
Time.
There you
Yes.
go. See?
Okay. So do I have a motion relative to item 9A?
So moved.
Second,
Moved by Director Gasca, seconded by Director Moss. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
To ratify the current board.
Ratify, yeah.
Ratify the
Yes.
current board.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, item 9B, approve appointment of officers of the Rainbow Public Facilities Corporation for 2023 as follows. President Hayden Hamilton, Vice President Meg Gasca, Secretary Michael Mack, Chief Financial Officer Tracy Largent, sorry, Largent.
So moved.
Moved by Director Gasca, seconded by Director Hamilton. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that concludes the business for the Public Rainbow Public Facilities Corporation. We're in adjournment.
Yeah, and Patty, just so you know, thank you, everybody. This is